Whew. The last day, hopefully, before Sora's route ends. And then we get onto Tsukumi's route, and then finally Sarah's, and then Coco's route. Man, I'm just excited for what this visual novel has to offer. The sound of boiling, bubbling oil filled the room. I fried a chicken in silence. After getting up, we all gathered in front of the sandwich shop as usual. As luck would have it, everyone showed up at the same time. I guess I could have called it lucky. Excuse me. There. Just adjusting how much volume it takes in. What's the loudest volume? Yeah, that's basically what I did. Yeah, that made no sense. Hardly anyone said a thing. Everyone had glum expressions on their faces and ate silently. There was a strange atmosphere surrounding us. For some reason, it had become hard for us to look one another in the eyes. It felt like the beginning of a bottomless rift amongst us, and at the same time, there was a strange smell in the air. Sizzle. Ah! There was smoke coming from the tip of my finger. Smoke! Smoke! Ah, that's hot! I've been firmly pressing it against the grill. Wow. I hastily cut the power. A juicy smell, not unlike sausage, was coming from the burnt tip of my finger. Ow! That hurts! I'm such an idiot. As I blew my finger to cool it off, I looked around at everyone. Why is everybody so silent? They had noticed, but they all turned their gazes down. Oh, even Pippi! Only Pippi was kind enough to acknowledge me. Yeah, Pippi, I burnt myself pretty good. But soon, even Pippi turned his face away from me. Hey, it seemed like everyone hated me. I felt totally alone. I hate that feeling. The sandwich I had just finished cooled, and soon it no longer tasted palatable. It felt like the morning after a funeral. Yeah, everyone knew why things had sunk so low. Everyone knew, but nobody wanted to say anything. A moment of carelessness had opened our hearts up into despair. They shoveled the chicken sandwiches into their mouths in silence. After we were all finished eating, everyone went to the conference room.
皆さんにお集まりいただいたのは他でもありません。一刻も早くお知らせしなければならないことがあったのです。辛いでしょうが、現在の状況を正しく把握する必要があります。取り乱さず、落ち着いて。
Sora paused for a second. Sora looked at all five of us in turn. You, Tsugumi, Coco, the kid, and me. The conference room was silent. I could hear the sound of water, faintly coming from somewhere. Was it water lapping in the hallways? Moments later, I couldn't hear it anymore. As if Sora was waiting for this cue, she slowly opened her mouth.
元凶は芳しくありません。
Sora extended her hand, and a holographic window appeared in the space in front of us. Felt like I hadn't seen her do that for a while.
今のところ、新たな浸水の兆候がはっきり現れている箇所はありません。昨夜のドリッドシュトックのコスミッシャーバル浸水以来、際立った被害は出ていませんが、その浸水によってレミューを支える支柱への負担は増大しました。フロア間の歪みは大きくなりつつあります。このまま行くと、レミューはやがて平行バランスを崩し、大きく傾くことになるでしょう。フロア区画の連結部への損傷が重なれば、健在な区画にも各種パイプなどを通して水が侵入してくる可能性があります。つまり、油断のならない状況となっています。以前お伝えしたと思いますが、レミューの完全悪化推定時刻は5月7日午前4時30分前後となっています。推定誤差はプラスマイナス12時間程度です。この推定数値には今のところ大きな変更はかかっていません。隔壁強度は一部においてすでに限界を超えつつあるのです。崩壊は段階的に少しずつ、しかし確実に起こります。それはもう時間の問題です。
Sora told all of us this with a calm look on her face. We all swallowed and held our breath as we listened. We knew we were reaching our time limit. We had no choice but to accept the reality. There was no avoiding the situation.
現在、発電施設は順調に稼働しています。ですが万が一、 発電機が停止してしまった場合は、非常電源、蓄電池を使用します。通常は非常灯の点灯とシステムの保持に使われている程度のものですが、2時間くらいは持つものと思います。
However, as I listened to Sora's report, I couldn't help thinking about yesterday. With Sora, how much of her thought processing had been repaired. Speaking in front of me was a Sora who was practical, businesslike, and simply responding to the situation at hand. She looked at me as if nothing had transpired, and I was of little importance to her. Which Sora is she? The real one, or the fake one? This sucks. It wasn't the time to be thinking about that.
旧来の通信回路については依然不通。脱出方法も見つかっていません。ですが、艦内レムシステムは全力を挙げて、皆さんの生命維持を最優先事項とし、また、艦外で操作可能なセンサー、ライト、マニピュレーターなどを総動員し、それらを使っての光波、電波、音波による通信の送受信の可能性を改めて検証中です。
Sora nodded her head, straightened her back, and surveyed the room. We were all silent. There was a look of determination in her eyes.
言わせてもらいますと、これは意地です。私、茜ヶ崎空の意地。
茜ヶ崎、OK。
できることはわずかですが、皆さんがここにいられる限り、皆さんがここから無事脱出するためのあらゆる手段、方法を私は考え、試したいと思っています。あとしばらくの間、よろしくお付き合いのほどお願いいたします。
She concluded with a serious nod. We also nodded in agreement.
助けは必ず来ます。信じて待ちましょう。
Sora's serious expression gave way to a smile.
皆さんが無事救出されることをお祈りします。
Her calmness was the result of her efficiently functioning AI. Thankfully, nobody panicked. But was that a genuine smile from Sora? I was pretty sure it was, because of that were a fake smile. No, even if we're Sora's real smile, thinking about it, there was something sad about it. Not wanting anyone to realize my thoughts, I bit my lip. The gloomy atmosphere that had been hanging over the gathering lightened, and everyone started thinking about how they should spend their time. We transferred to the rest area. Everyone found a seat around the central stage. A ripple ran through the water on the floor. A wave smashed back and forth from wall to wall. This is serious. What are we going to do? I didn't have any ideas. A few quiet discussions were going on. Yet from where I stood, it seemed the more people spoke, the murkier the answers became. From the beginning, it was the same debate repeated over and over again. Should we wait for help? Should we seek an escape route? All I could do was look into the ceiling. There was no sign that any bright ideas were on their way to my head. We were just waiting for the walls and ceiling to come crumbling down.
どうしたの少年？
みんな気をつけて。動かないで。立ち上がらないで。
A deep moan rumbled through the room as the floor began to shake. A wave of fear ran through us. Soon the shaking ceased.
ユウ。
もう大丈夫だよ。心配いらないって。ね、ソラ。はい。今の揺れは、おそらく海底の熱水噴出口の噴出量が一時的に多くなったせいだと思います。
But her facial coloring still hadn't returned to normal. Everyone looked around the room, exchanging glances. And just like that, nervous tension refilled the room again. Not again. I decided to take charge. Alright, listen up everyone. I rose to my feet and shouted to everyone. Listen, just stay where you all are. I'm going to check the kiosk on the second floor. Everyone looked shocked as I yelled. Some jaws even dropped. They may have been half put off by me. Still, I didn't concern myself with that. No matter how stupid it seemed, I continued. I'm going above to grab some snacks for everybody. There's plenty up there, and we still should be able to eat it. It'll be a pain to go get it later, and it doesn't make sense to let them go to waste. Alright, we're going to eat here. And let's have a good time. Oh, that's right. Does anybody want beer? You raised her hand timidly.
お酒はレミューの売店には置いてないはずだよ。地上と気圧が違うせいで 悪酔いするお客さんがいたらしいから。
That's too bad. Well, hardly any of you look like you could hold your drink anyway. I guess it'll have to be juice.
あ、たけし。
Now it was the kid who raised his hand.
上から運ばなくても、飲み物ならまだタスタ売店の方にもたくさんあるよ。缶ジュース、紙コップもいるから。僕が持ってこようか。
Alright, kid, you do that.
うん、任せてよ。
The kid laughed. It seemed he was over the events from the day before.
はいはい、ココも手伝うよ。
An excited Coco raised her hand, volunteering.
ピピも手伝いたいって。
Great. Alright, let's go and get the supplies.
そら、時間はまだあるよね。
You ask Sora this in a small voice.
正確なシミュレーションはできませんが、少なくともここは午後2時までは安全です。私が保証します。
Sora replied casually.
よし。
You nodded and looked up.
少年、一緒にタスタ売店に行こうか。飲み物ありったけここに持ってこよう。
オッケー、そうしよう。
あ、そうだ。
You slammed her fist into her hand excitedly and looked about the room.
つぐみはどうするの？って、あれ？いないね、つぐみ。
What? I frantically surveyed the room as well, but Tsugumi was nowhere in sight. Where the heck did she go? And when did she leave?
小町さんは先ほどさりげなく部屋を出て行かれました。2階に向かったようですけど。しょうがないな。まあ、すぐに戻ってきてくれると信じますか。ね、クラナリ。
Yeah.
それじゃあみんな、転換の準備よろしく。
Yeah.
ああ。
おう。
Yeah.
宴会しよう、そうしよう。
I had only thrown out the idea as a way to lighten the mood. Before I knew it, we had ourselves a full-blown party in the making. Well, whatever. It was better than having everyone moping around. Soon, Coco, Pippi, and I left to get food. We took the emergency stairs.
パッピプッペポポッペパッペポポッピパッピプピッピパッピピ。
As we climbed the stairs, Coco sang some crazy song. You seem like you're in a good mood, Coco.
なんかね、ドキドキワクワクするの。いよいよクライマックス。ヒロインたちの絶体絶命のピンチに颯爽とヒーローは現れる。お嬢さん、大丈夫ですか？お怪我はありませんか？そこまでだ。仮面怪人ドッペル男、悪は許さん。このニュートリのエナジーパワーにかけて貴様を倒す。そうなんて思ったりして。あ、タケピョン呆れたでしょ。呆れ返ってるでしょ。
No.
なんて不謹慎なお子様なんでしょう。ああ、嘆かわしい。親の顔が見てみたいわー。とか。
No, it's not that. Not at all. Mussed up her hair affectionately.
誰かがね、ココたちのピンチに颯爽と現れてくれるの。そう思ってて、本当にそうなるといいな。ねえ、ココが勝手に思っちゃう分にはいいっしょ？
Yeah, you're right. You know, to tell you the truth, I'm thinking the same way. I think that someone might come to rescue us. I don't know about the neutrino stuff, though.
そうだよね。
Neutrino. We wanted to believe that a hero was on the way, and that went for Coco, Pippi, and me too. We reached the second floor. We turned down the corridor and entered the souvenir shop. Someone had beaten us there.
あれ、すぐにここに来てたんだ。遅い。
Tsugumi looked a little miffed.
で、どれを持っていけばいいの？ちょっと、何よ、たけし。その鳩が豆鉄砲を食らったような顔は。
Oh, it's nothing. Nothing. I was surprised she even said anything to me. Okay, let's get started. 1 hour later, we begin our party in the elevated part of the rest area. Even without alcohol, the party was lively. The kid and I distributed the snacks and drinks to everyone. It was then that you volunteered to provide some entertainment. First, she performed an impersonation of a strange old archaeologist who had a talent for cracking a whip. Then Coco came out in a makeshift sumo outfit and stomped her feet on the stage. Sora kept busy filling the room with hologram projections of rainbows. The rainbow-colored bubbles that floated from the water surface through the air were particularly pretty. After that, Tsugumi joined us. She had a little magic to show as she dropped her hamster in her skirt pocket, only to have it reappear in her breast pocket. That really impressed the crowd. Although I knew about her hamster Chammy, many didn't even know Tsugumi kept a pet. Then Kid and I performed a comedy skit. We pulled out one-liners and impromptu gags, which got huge laughter from everyone.
Domo, 失礼しました.
Even Tsugumi? Thanks! Kid and I exited the stage to a thunderous applause.
恐れ入ったわ。すごいですね。
Yeah, better than I
お二人とも。
expected. Thank you, thank
あり
you.
がとう、ありがと
Actually, I was surprised too that you poked fun at yourself using the truth about you losing your memory as a gag.
う。そういうつもりでもなかったんだけど、流れでなんとなくね。
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, it looks like I've got nothing more to teach you, so go ahead and follow my comedy footsteps.
あーごめん、たけし。教わったこと、もう全部忘れちゃったよ。
Wow, kid. Well, that's too bad. You should at least take notes. Notes! But never fear, I ain't taught you nothing yet.
そうだっけ?
And that was about it. The party gradually wound down, and then took a trip back to the chicken sandwich stand and brought sandwiches back for everyone. We all munched on hot sandwiches. These are so good. It wasn't exactly ideal breakfast food. Everyone happily downed their food. If Leimu collapsed soon, I thought that could be everyone's last meal. Everyone understood that, yet said nothing. No, everyone understood, which is why they said nothing. Sora, I made up my mind to speak to her about the important things I had on my mind, right after finishing my sandwich.
はい、なんでしょう。
With a slight smile, Sora gazed at me. Her eyes were like a clear, cloudless sky. Well, it's just that when I saw her smile, I wavered slightly, yet I continued to speak. About yesterday, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say, but...
何のことです？おっしゃる意味がよくわからないのです。
Sora spoke brusquely. Sora! You're lying, right? You haven't forgotten, right? I know I haven't forgotten. That's not just something you just forget about. I realize it's not something you can casually address, but... Sora gave me a bitter smile.
すいません、倉成さん。昨夜のことは覚えていないんです。
What?
私、覚えてませんから。本当に覚えてませんから。忘れちゃったんですよ。数時間の間、記憶がないんです。
How? Why? You're lying. You've got to be. I didn't want to believe it.
ねえ、倉成さん。私ね、
She laughed again and gazed out at the others around the
こうしてい
stage.
るの好きなんです。皆さんが笑っているのを見るのが好きなんです。レミには現在、各種処理を任せてあります。何かトラブルがあればすぐに教えてくれます。私は大きなトラブルがないように祈りつつ、ここで皆さんを見守るのが役目なんです。私の微笑みに皆さんが微笑み返してくれると嬉しい。きっとそのために私はいつでも笑っていられるようにできてるんですよ。それが私の制作者のポリシー。
I didn't want to talk about herself as something made, or how she was manufactured.
倉成さん、そんな泣きそうな顔をしないでください。
Yeah, right. I'm fine. Excuse me? Yeah, right. Fine. I wish that I hadn't gone overboard last night. But I was wishing for the impossible. What I did.
空、ちょっといい？あ、はい。 小松さん、何でしょうか？
Tsugumi was suddenly standing right between Sora and I. Tsugumi let out a nervous laugh.
話があるの。二人で話したいんだけど。二人きりでですか？ええ。お願い。実は、脱出についてあなたに一つ提案があるのよ。え？本当ですか？何かいい方法が？そうよ。私にならできるかもしれない。本当にできそうかどうか、空の意見を聞いてみたいんだけど。
What? Wait a second. Tsugumi, Sora and I...
たけしは黙ってて。
Tsugumi held out her hand as if stopping my mouth in one motion.
私は空と二人だけで話したいの。構わないでしょ？はい、わかりました。では、中央制御室で。そうね。行きましょうか。
The two got down from the stage and set off with very serious looks on their faces. Wait! Hold up, you two! Don't go starting something without telling everyone! Why can't you just talk here?
たけし。
Tsugumi turned around and shot a sharp glare at me. Her eyes were ice.
黙っててって言ったでしょ？
Sora and Tsugumi turned their backs to me and left together. Things around me got quiet. What the hell? What the hell's going on here? I felt alone. Balling up the sandwich wrapper, I threw it as hard as I could. Splash. The wrapper fell in the water, creating a series of ripples.
クラナリー、何してんのさ。ゴミ投げちゃダメじゃないのよ。
You picked up the wrapper out of the water and twisted it around her finger. Who cares? It doesn't matter at this point anyway.
またまた。何いきなり不適されちゃってるのかな、この男は。
I'm not sulking.
どうだかね。
You shrugged and let out a deep sigh.
はぁ。よいしょ。
I glanced over to the corner of the room and saw Coco and Kate climbing the statue. Looking over at them, you and I sat down on the circular stage.
理由は明白。言うまでもない。元気はあっても、から元気なのです。グラナリ選手はただいま落ち込んでいます。
Well, because, I mean, it isn't like that at all.
何がだからなのよ。だからってのは、前述の事柄に対してつける接続詞なんだぞ。おかしいじゃないのさ。ほらどうした？なんとか反証してみんかい。うりうり。
I was pretending I was fine. Even I knew the reason was obvious. I was worried about her. You let out another fake sigh again.
じゃあ、あんたのそのうじうじぶりとは何の関係もなく、質問しちゃおうかな。
Go ahead. As you wish. This time I was the one to sigh.
よーし、質問するよ。
Well, hurry up already.
何怒ってるのよ。
I'm not angry about anything.
はいはい。
The kid and Pippi were playing sumo. Coco was the referee. And I watching them. As you spoke.
ねえ、グラナリー。空の思考ノイズ、何だったのか知ってる？
I don't know. No, wait, maybe I do know.
どっちなのよ。
I can't say either way.
はっきりしないやっちゃな。男だろ？
Alright. But I can't talk about it. It's a secret between Sora and me. It was likely that Sora was jealous of Tsugumi and me. But I was pretty sure AI didn't understand emotions like jealous. Always bothered by emotions that she didn't understand. Sora. Asking me to explain them to her. Sora. Sharp twinges nagged at my heart.
そっかそっか。秘密なんだ。ところでさ、レミを調べてて分かったんだけど、空の AI システムは自己学習は自動でできるけど、記憶操作は意図的にはできないみたいだよ。
What? What did you just say?
自己学習。データの蓄積は自動でできる。
No, the part after that.
記憶操作。消去は勝手にはできない。情報の優先度が変わるだけなの。思 行修復はシステムが壊れた時の最後の手段。システムを管理する人間が承認して初めて可能になるのよ。
Meaning that she couldn't have undergone a system recovery last night. Sora, she told me the truth, but at the same time, she lied. A computer program that could only accept yes or no, ones and zeros, had tried desperately to accept a contradiction.
AI も人と同じなんだよ。知らんぷりはできるけど、そうそう簡単に忘れることはできない。
Why are you telling me this?
さあね。
You said this sarcastically, playing dumb. Then she laughed mischievously. Listen, you.
何?
Even if Sora's memory was being stored somewhere above us, do you think she really wants to be rescued with the rest of us?
クラナリはどう思ってる?
Of course I want her to be saved along with everyone. Leimu is Sora's eyes, her body. Even if her mind is in another section, if this part sinks, part of her will go down with it. And if that's the case, no matter what we do, there's no way to rescue her from here completely.
そうだね。空も私たちと一緒に助かるといいね。
It sure would be nice for that wish to come true.
そうだね。
Coco and Pippi, I could hear splashes as they ran.
そうだ。私の恩人みたいな人がいて、その人から聞いた話があるの。信じて願えば叶い、現実になる。
Believe it, desired it, and it can. What is that? Something you read in a book?
違うの。そんなことが現象として本当にあるとしたら、その仮説。
Hypothesis?
その名は、キュレイ。
Cure. I pondered the word for a moment. Just then,
みんな大変だ!
Kid came running into the room yelling. Kid, where the heck did you just go?
大変ってどういうこと?
いいから来て! 止めなきゃ!
Kid was breathing heavily, yelling between breaths. Oh, is this the part where Tsugumi and Sora have like a sort of verbal battle with each other? They're like arguing. Stop what? Hey, explain what's going on.
何があったの?
They're fighting. Yeah, Sora and Tsugumi are fighting. Coco and Pippi came over to see what all the commotion was about.
中央制御室. 空とつぐみ、あれから随分経つけど戻ってこないから、見に行ってみたら、ひどい口論になってて、僕見てらんなくて、それで。
まずいね、こんな時に。行こう、止めようよ。
Yeah, we better hurry. The kid, Coco, Pippi, you, and myself. We sped along the wet floor to the central control room. I pushed the button to open the door. That's so cool how you can faintly hear them. We burst into the room. We found Tsugumi and Sora screaming at each other. Neither one would give an inch. They just glared at each other. It looked as though they had been fighting for several minutes. The room was filled with tension.
下? ドリッドシュトックの下にフロアはありません。降りることはできないんです。嘘。あなたが嘘をついている。クバレから下を覗いたり、あなたの目を盗んでレミにアクセスしたり、時間がかかったけどね。ようやく確証が持てたの。レミューにはさらに下の階があるって。レミューとは別の施設。それがこの真下にあるの。ずーっと下の方によ。ね。そうでしょ。その問いにはお答えできません。そう言わずに答えてよ。チューリングテストをしてみて、あなたが本物の AI だったことはよく分かったわ。だとしたら、プロテクトでブロックされていない限り、人間に聞かれたことには正直、それがあなたの機能なんだから。通常のエレベーターやリフトではあそこには行けない。唯一の経路は閉ざされた扉の部屋につながっている。その部屋、ヒンメル。 それは空。あなたの名前でしょ。このままここでじっとしていても何にもならない。時は一刻を争うの。扉の先に真実はある。あの扉、ヒンメルの扉のパスワードを教えなさい、空。確かにヒンメルはドイツ語で空。私の名前です。
I didn't know that. HIMMEL in German means sky.
ですが、小町さん、私にはあの扉を開く権限がありません。残念ながら。嘘よ。嘘じゃありません。大した人工知能ね。私をたばかるの？人間を騙せると思ってんの？嘘じゃない。本当なんです。私にはあの部屋の先にあるものの情報は何も与えられては。やめて！
Coco jumped between them.
やめてよ、二人とも。
Both of them flinched for a moment, but continued to look bitter.
ココちゃん。ココ。
やめて。ね、お願いだよ。
これは私たちの問題なんです、ココちゃん。どきなさい、ココ。怒るわよ。
どうして？つぐみんも、そらさんも、やめようよ。なんで喧嘩するの？
喧嘩なんかじゃありません。喧嘩じゃないわ。
嘘だよ。喧嘩したらダメだよ。
Large tears welled and flowed from Coco's eyes. Tears had a freezing effect on Sora and Tsugumi. Oh, don't cry. Coco started gasping. She suddenly ran to the corner of the console, or rather fell there. She leaned against the console, barely able to support herself. Coco's body was shaking slightly. Her lips trembled. I could see that her lips had gone pale quickly. It was different than crying. Coco, hey, what? What's up with you all of a sudden? Coco's lips were suddenly stained red.
Coco!
The kid opened his eyes wide, looking shocked. What? She's bleeding. Oh. But from what? Blood was flowing onto the floor of the control room. It wouldn't stop. It kept falling from her mouth.
どうしたの？ココちゃん。
Coco shook her head and trembled violently. She had her hand to her mouth, desperately trying not to cough.
なんてこと。これは、この症状は。
Sora looked as if she were about to panic.
症状？そんなのどうでもいい。
Tsugumi screamed, furious.
見てわからないの？このままじゃココが。
ココ、しっかりするんだ。
クラナに、どうしよう。
Don't ask me, I don't know what to do. Hang on, everyone, don't panic. You've got to stay calm. I screamed out in a loud voice to everyone. Just calm the heck down, okay? Oh, wait, maybe I need to calm down too. Whew. Everyone took deep breaths trying to settle down. Coco, just relax. You're going to be okay. Oh, she looks like she's in immense pain. Steadying her trembling eyes, Coco looked at me firmly. Good girl. Now hang on to me, Coco. I turned around and thrust out my back toward her. Can you get on? Pippi looked up worriedly at Coco. We're going to the firmly on Zweit.
了解。
I realized I was holding on to Coco. We were rushing up Zweitstock, some 56 feet above us. I held Coco on my back with you and Tsugumi supporting her from the sides. Sora went ahead to guide us, and the kid followed a short distance behind. We emerged at the second floor emergency corridor. Which was it, left or right?
このまままっすぐ。
Okay.
あんまり乱暴に走らないで。揺らさないでよ。
I know, just pipe down, would you? Coco was groaning in pain on my back, but I could still make it. There was no way I was going to fail. I wasn't going to say it's no use, we're too late. I wasn't going to let anyone else say it either. As long as there was some hope left, I wouldn't give up. I took a shortcut to the nearest elevator and rushed Coco to infirmary. You pointed to the MRI. Tsugumi and I laid Coco down on a flat table. Coco continued to breathe in her short, shallow manner. Although she had stopped coughing up blood, she seemed to be in a lot of pain. Her body lay still. The arm of the MRI soon came to life and started a laser scan. The kid came up to the side of the table and stared at Coco, looking as if he would burst into tears. Sora, put the results up on the screen so everyone can see them.
Hi.
Suddenly, a few holographic windows appeared in the air. Images, including the thermal scan, ultrasound analysis, showing cross-sectional representations of her body, and the laser sampling, were all displayed one after another. Of course, none of us were doctors, so there was little we could understand about her condition by looking at the pictures. All we could do was wait for the scanning equipment and Lei Mei system to give us an answer. We stared at the images that flashed by on the screen and prayed. Then, the results suddenly appeared. Tief Blau, 2017, Rev.17.
Tief Blau.
I knew it. I had a feeling it was Tief Blau. What did you say?
Sonna.
Sora hurriedly shut down the holographic window. I'm not sure if you... No, I don't think you actually told us the symptoms of Tief Blau. She explained it a bit, but she didn't actually tell us the symptoms. She bit her lip and stared down, in shock. I think, anyway. Her expression showed how serious the situation was. Sora?
どうしたのよ、ソラ。言ってくれないと。教えてくれないとわからないよ。
信じられない。そんな、信じられません。
What don't you believe?
ココちゃんは、感染しています。
感染
What?
それは
Sora was unable to express her agitation and opened her mouth hesitantly.
ティーフ・ブラウン、強力な致死性の高いウイルスです。
ティーフ・ブラウン
Tief Blau.
Coco!
The kid ran over to Coco's side and held onto the table.
しっかりしてよ、Coco! 嫌だ！死んじゃ嫌だ！
He held onto Coco's arm as she lay there unconscious.
目を開けてくれ、Coco! 頼むよ！起きてくれよ！
The kid grabbed a hold of Coco's shoulders and shook her violently. Hey, cut it out! Stop it, kid! I pried his hands off Coco and pulled him away from her.
何すんだよ！
Jackass, calm the hell down! What do you think that's going to accomplish, huh?
だってココがこのままじゃココが死んじゃうよ！
The kid groaned in despair. Calm down, there's gotta be something we can do. Don't get crazy, let's just calm down and think. The kid somehow quieted down. He breathed heavily and glared at me. What do you think we should do, you?
そんなこと言われても私にはわからないよ。ソラ、何か対処法はないの？
応急処置でしたら可能です。ですが、根源的な対策には。
応急処置で構わない。早くしないと。
You stopped herself just short of screaming out.
お願い、ソラ。あなただけが頼りなのよ。教えて、方法を。
アンプルを、症状に対応したアンプルが必要です。
アンプル？どれなの？
それが、この部屋にあるかどうか。
そんな！
Oh no. You ran up to the wall and opened up a shelf filled with medical tools. You repeatedly asked Sora about the contacts as she tore through them.
いえ。
これじゃないの？
違います。
こっちは？
それではありません。それも違います。
You dropped bottle after bottle of medicine onto the floor. Many of them exploded into pieces when they hit.
どうしよう。どうしたらいいの？答えて、ソラ！
残念ながら。
Pippi came over to me and whined softly. Sora's face suddenly changed colors.
ピピちゃん、それをください。早く。
Huh?
ピピちゃんが口に加えているそれです。
What? I quickly snatched whatever it was out of Pippi's mouth and lifted it up. This?
アンプル。
It was a transparent capsule with orange liquid inside of it. How do we use it?
先を折って開封して、そのまま中身をココちゃんに注射してください。
Okay. You, do your magic. You ran over to where I was and grabbed the syringe out of my hand. Coco held out a shaking arm. You silently inserted the syringe into her arm and administered the serum. After a few minutes, although it was gradual, Coco's breathing became more even and the tremors in her body settled down.
効果あったようです。体調はある程度持ち直しました。危機は去りましたよ。よか
った。
Both you and Sora looked relieved. You looked as if she could cry. The kid looked up and let out a big sigh of relief. Tsugumi stared at Coco in silence. Hey Pippi, who would have thought you'd find the serum? When did you get this? Where did you find it? Pippi whined pitifully. Alright, everyone gather around the LMRI where Coco slept. Sora, tell us what you can about the Tiefblau virus. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Does anyone else know about it? When I asked the question, you, the kid, Tsugumi, even Pippi all shook their heads. You said it was a high mortality rate. You don't have any idea when or how Coco got this, do you? I don't care if it's only a guess or if you give me only the limited data you have. I just want to know. Coco came down with this out of nowhere. It doesn't help the rest of us to be ignorant.
そうですね。
Sora got a strange expression on her face. After thinking for a moment, she gave us a wholehearted explanation.
わかりました。ティーフ・ブラウンに関して、私が語ることのできる情報のすべてをお伝えします。
A heavy silence had descended upon the emergency room. Everyone once in a while, the sensor from the LMRI would sound out Coco's vital signs, the only noise to echo through the room.
ティーフ・ブラウン。
Sora started talking softly.
ティーフ・ブラウンはレミューの下にある研究施設にて研究されていた極めて致死性の高い悪性ウイルスです。
研究施設？ここの下に？
Yu's eyes opened wide.
ええ、EBF と呼ばれる施設がこの真下にあります。EBF？ やっぱり。
So I'm guessing that's where HIMMEL leads to, the IVF.
決定的な事態を目の当たりにしてしまっては、さすがに人工知能の機密保守命令も解除されたか。人一人の命がかかっているもの。黙ってはいられないみたいね。ごめんなさい。どうぞ続けて、ソラ。
After shaking her head slightly, Tsugumi let out a sigh.
はい。テーマパークレミューの運営母体、ライプリヒ製薬。そのライプリヒが設立した研究施設が EBF です。
357 feet beneath Lemu, there are thermal seafloor vents. Living there are special microbes which cannot be found in any other environment, and Lieblich Pharmaceutical created a research institute in order to study them. It is called IBF, Institute for Biologische Forschung. Translated means the Institute for Biological Research. Lemu and the research facility, of the two, the first to be built was the research facility. Building a theme park was apparently just a front. The researchers at IBF were listed as managers of Lemu and were able to come and go as they pleased. That way, nobody would suspect that there was actually a research facility. At the same time, they could also get much needed funds for research. If they set up a successful theme park, they could get pretty much all the money they needed to run a research facility. So Lieblich Pharmaceutical continued to carry out research into bacteria and viruses on the bottom of the ocean, 357 feet underwater.
EBF のことは極秘事項なんです。ライプリヒの中でもレミューの中でも知っているのはごく一部の人間だけ。 EBF とレミューはコンピューターシステム上も別管轄になっていますし、私にも関連の乏しい断片的な情報しか教えられていなかったのです。今回の件で分散された情報を統合して初めて EBF が実在することをはっきり確信しました。
とにかくティーフ・ブラウという未知の悪性ウイルスがあって、レミューの下の研究所でその研究は行われていた。それはおそらくそのティーフ・ブラウの治療方法を探るため。
ええ、おそらくそうです。それから EBF にはこちらの救護室よりもはるかに充実した医療設備が整っているはずです。あくまでレミのデータベースからの推測ですが、EBF の診療室には最新型の高圧酸素治療装置があるようです。その治療装置を使えば白血球の殺菌作用が増大します。ココちゃんの症状をある程度緩和することができるかもしれません。症状を抑える効果のあるアンプル、先ほどのオレンジのアンプルも新たに入手できるでしょう。
IBF, huh? Can we go there? How do we get there?
待って！
The kid interrupted with a shout.
ちょっと待ってよ！おかしいよ、そんなの！どうしてココは、そのティーフ・ブラウとかにかかっちゃったの？そんな恐ろしいウイルスに、いきなり感染してるなんて、なんか変だと思わない？
そうね。でも、ココを治療したくても、この場所ではこれ以上手が施せない。治療法の手がかりはその研究所。EBF にしかないわ。理由を探るのは後回し。もっとも、空の言うことを全面的に信じればの話だけど。込み入った嘘をつけるほど器用じゃないはずよね。さっきは疑ってしまってごめんなさい。私は信用するわ、空のこと。
Tsugumi smiled slightly.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Sora nodded sincerely. Yeah.
私も信じるよ。何よりここでこのまま手をこまねいてばかりいられない。取り得る最善の方法を考えましょう。
I looked at you and Sora and nodded.
それで納得してくれる？少年。
そうだね。わかったよ。
Alright then. So it's decided then. We're going to IBF. It's the only chance we got at saving Coco.
でも EBF に行くにはヒンメルを通らないと。ヒンメルの扉は開かないんですよ。
So I was right. Well, it's pretty obvious anyway. I don't care. We're going. We don't have any other options. Show me the way. It might not work, but we don't know that unless we try, right? Hey kid, give me a hand.
はい。
I picked up Coco's inert body and carried her piggyback. We went down the lift into the crab emergency corridor. Tsugumi and the kid supported Coco, who was on my back from both sides. Sora and Pippi went on ahead. You brought along a first aid kit, just in case. We were headed for Dritstop, some 17 meters below. We made it to the third floor. We ran as quickly as we could go, to where the locked door was waiting for us. Using all the strength we had, and all the power of our prayers, we flew forward. Here we are. We all stopped in front of the door. I briefly put Coco down and leaned her up against the wall. The kid went up to Coco and lent her his shoulder. HIMMEL. The door that wouldn't open. Sora, I'm just asking to make sure.
何でしょう?
What does HIMMEL mean?
ドイツ語で空。それに天国。
Heaven, huh? Sure, I've given it an ironic name. So the question was, how in the world were we going to open that door? Let's see, you probably knows nothing. Tsugumi, I don't know. I'm just gonna ask Sora for the heck of it. Can you tell me what the access code to the electronic lock is? I ask Sora again.
不明です。EBF 研究員やこの部屋の専属スタッフにしか伝えられていないんです。
Even a hint would help.
私、解除コードを探してみます。
As soon as she said this, a transparent keyboard and console appeared in front of her.
レミシステムのセキュリティブロックにアクセス。ヒンメルのプロテクトキーを解除します。
The buttons on the electronic lock started to flash.
レミ、 お願いだから私の言うことを聞いて。逆らわないで。
Sora was typing furiously on the keyboard, battling with the system that was locking the door. Snap! It looked to me as if sparks were flying in the air. Sora's hands flew across the virtual keyboard. Unfazed, she could continue to type. Crack! Snap! Sparks violently scattered out one after another. Her RSD image wavered, and the virtual keyboard disappeared. Sora, are you okay?
すみません。アクセス拒否されました。
Her image continued to flicker for a while. The next thing to try was... Ugh, yeah, fine, let's ask you. Hey you, is there any way to get around this lock that you know of? Huh? Where'd you go? Eh? Turning toward the voice coming from behind, a few yards away, I saw you throw down the first aid kit she had been carrying. Huh? Crap, I gotta work on that scream. That was terrible. She immediately came hurriedly toward me as if possessed. She looked furious. I stumbled back away from the door. Crash! With a perfect flying dropkick, she threw open the panel to the electronic lock. What are you doing? This isn't time to be goofing off. You shouted as she leaned over panting. That's a little extreme. Well, how about it? Does it look like it's going to open? Neither the door nor the panel had changed at all. You began hitting the lock with a renewed vigor, uttering strange noises, but all the lock did was make errors and asked politely for her to re-enter the password. And then you ended up with a sprained finger and went back to the first aid kit. Damn, what are we going to do? Coco was being supported by the kid. She couldn't stand by herself. She soon was hunched over on the floor. I tried pulling her up again, but her face quickly changed the vol color. This is bad. If we don't get in there quickly...
Öffnen Sie die Tür von Himmel.
Suddenly a voice that I hadn't heard before sounded from the corridor. What's it saying?
誰かがレミシステムにアクセスしています。
Sora flashed open her eyes and shouted. Huh?
この部屋の中、ヒンメルの端末からです。
What? There's someone from HIMMEL? Inside? The axis indicated light for the electronic lock turned green. The hatch's level raised and turned automatically. The door opened suddenly. Whoa. Stagnant air poured out of the room. For some reason, the humidity felt like it was lower than outside. The air conditioning was humming quietly. It was white. It was pure white inside. The whiteness of the wall and the floor was emphasized by the brightness of the lighting and seemed to leap out at us. Himmel. It didn't necessarily seem like a mistake to have named the room Heaven. There were nameplates on the machines with Himmel written on them. It seemed like they were in the computer control room. Hey, there's someone here. Did he open up the door just now? There was a single person in the room. He was a man who appeared to be in his 40s, dressed in a white lab coat, and blood was coming from his mouth, and he had passed out at the console. Hey mister, are you alright? The man didn't reply to me, he just lay there motionless. Who is this guy? Sora, do you know any idea who this is?
いいえ、ID 照合できません。ですが、その服装からするとおそらく EBF の研究員の方だと思います。
I put my hands on his shoulder and raised them into a sitting position. I looked over his white clothing to see if he had any name tags or any way to determine his name, but he didn't have any ID card or nameplate to check. Hey, are you one of the staff from the research facility?
So da.
Breathing faintly, the researcher replied. He seemed to be unable to open his eyes and searched for me by my voice.
君は救助隊じゃなさそうだな。
He grabbed onto me with shaking hands. They were covered in blood.
レミューにまだ人がいたのか。あれから6日は経っただろうに。こいつは驚く。
Blood trickled from his mouth, and he smiled wearily. Hey, don't strain yourself. You don't have to talk.
すまんな。我々のせいで。
What happened? Did something happen down there?
だけど、どうしてこんな。
After that, he was silent. Hey, hang in there. I shook his shoulders, but he didn't reply.
たけし、乱暴はやめなさいよ。彼はもう気を失っているわ。手を離してあげて。
Okay.
こうなれば、彼も一緒に連れて行くしかないでしょうね。
I wonder what was going on. Wait, more importantly, we've got to hurry. I don't have a clue what's going on, but I can't worry about that now. Sorry, we've got to get Coco to IBF right away. You, who had been waiting to the entrance to HIMMEL, went inside with Pippi. The kid followed behind, carrying Coco. The door had an electronic lock on it, so we left it open.
皆さん、この部屋の奥にもう一つ部屋があります。
Yeah.
ええ、わかるわ。
We all nodded. There was a room on the other side of the glass in front of us.
あれは EBF 用の加減圧室です。
Sora straightened up and explained the situation without emotion.
私の持つわずかなデータから判断しますと、EBF には通常のレミューよりもさらに高圧のガスが封入されています。EBF もまた飽和潜水仕様というわけです。その方が特殊な細菌の研究に適しているということもあるのでしょう。EBF の内部気圧は実に約 12.5 気圧。皆さんにはあの部屋に入っていただきます。そして加減圧室での約1時間の加圧が完了次第、専用リフトで EBF へと加工することになります。念のため申し上げておきますが、ここから先は容易に後戻りすることはできません。皆さん心してください。
We can't go back. We've got to make a decision. Nope, we're going. Alright, we're going. I looked at everyone. You, the kid, Tsugumi, and Sora, and Pippi all nodded. The kid and you held the unconscious Coco between them. Tsugumi and I picked up the researcher, and Pippi took up the rear. Everyone lined up at the transparent sliding door on the far side of the room. Sora used the control panel on the terminal to open it up. All of us entered the room together. A single panel of reinforced glass lay in between the control room and the compression chamber. More precisely, a chamber was set in the middle of the room, having constructed it. We brought Coco and the researcher into the room first and sat them down on chairs. Both of their breathing was ragged, and they looked in pain. Their faces were extremely pale and sickly. We needed to hurry. I hated to waste an hour here. You, the kid, Tsugumi, and Pippi all stood in the open space available. With everyone in there, it was fairly crowded.
加圧が完了すれば、部屋の奥の扉が自動で開いて、リフトへ行けるようになりますから。
For some reason, Sora didn't enter the room, but spoke to us from in front of the entrance.
加圧は最速で行います。ちょっと辛くなるかもしれませんが、なんとか我慢してください。
In saying this, Sora went to close the door. Sora, what's wrong? You aren't coming with us?
あ、いえ、私は。
Come on, let's get started. What are you waiting for? I casually reached out towards Sora. I knew I couldn't grab her, but I did it anyway. However... Huh? As soon as I tried to touch her, sparks flew into the air. It felt as though a shark had gone through me. A transparent wall suddenly appeared in front of the door. There was a red wall of flame. What? Alarmed, I drew back my hand and the door closed. Sora! Sora! What was...
ここから先はコンピューターの管轄が違うんです。
I heard Sora's voice talking to us calmly over the speaker of the compression chamber's intercom.
私はあくまでレミの機能の一部ですから、EBF には降りられないんです。残念ですが、ここでお見送りさせていただきます。
The wall of fire had vanished. We were in the compression chamber, shut off from the rest of the world. The sound of pumping gas, which was slowly raising the air pressure, could be heard throughout the chamber. Hey, everyone, take out your voice converters. They get in the way when you're adjusting to pressure. Everyone did as I said and removed their voice alternators. I took out Coco's myself. I checked the researcher, but it didn't seem he was wearing any. After that, hardly anyone said a word. We were all waiting for the time to pass. Sora could be seen outside of the chamber's window. She didn't move, only stood and watched us. And then... the lock from the door on the far side of the chamber clicked and released. I felt a subtle change in pressure and the lift down to IBF opened. We all filed into one by one.
それでは皆さん、どうかご無事で。
We could hear her voice from the speaker on the other side of the room, but we couldn't see her. I wonder if I would ever see her up close again? Cocking my head to one side, I thrust the voice alternators back in my ears. Everyone got aboard the lift. And as soon as the doors closed, the elevator started sliding down.
Tiefe, 70 Meter. Tiefe, 80 Meter. Tiefe, 90 Meter.
It could be below heaven. More heaven or...
Tiefe, 119 Meter.
The door to the elevator opened. The passage extended in two directions from the elevator room. I went to one of these. Everything was totally dark, and I could hardly tell where I was headed. Fearfully, I took a step forward. And suddenly, as if someone had noticed our arrival, the lights went on in the room. Is someone there?
勝手についたみたいだったけど、センサーが反応して、コンピューターが照明を操作した。
わからないけど、あり得るね。
It seemed that there were a pool where our small submarine could dock. The pool was a two-layer structure, but there was no sign that seawater would flow in. It felt a little hot in there, but it seemed as if the air conditioning was still working properly. Perhaps the place was even more comfortable than the flooded Dreadstock. But there was no sign of anyone. Anyway, let's get to where we have to go. We opened the watertight door at the other side of the room and continued deeper into the installation. This is the place where Kid had his dream. I wonder if he was here before. A passageway the same size as Leimu's emergency corridors, no, maybe even smaller, led off into the distance. For some reason the whole place seemed colder, less alive than the structure above. As we continued down the corridor, lights would go on automatically, a few feet in front of us. Well, it certainly seems computer-controlled. As we continued moving, the lights followed us, lighting up the only areas around us. The corridor branched off in a few directions, but all of them ended up watertight doors that were closed. I wonder if IBF had flooded except for one part. Anyway, the number of areas that we could enter was limited. Luckily, we found the examination room right away. I quickly turned the handle and opened the door. Yeah, this is the place where Kid had his dream. You and the Kid laid Coco down on a nearby table. Tsugumi and I put the researcher down in the chair slowly. There were a few ordinary beds in the examination room, and the same kind of LMRI that we had found in Leimu's infirmary. There were numerous medical instruments that looked like things that you might only see in a science fiction movie. I wondered what in the world they were for. I had no idea. Hey you, where's that high pressure oxygen thing that Sora was talking about?
わかんないよ、そんなの。
Tsugumi, what should we do?
調べるしかないわ。ここのことは誰も知らないんだから。
待て。
The researcher coughed as he spoke. Hey, don't move. Are you okay?
無事とは言えんが、まだ生きてるよ。
With his eyes closed, he raised his hands weakly in response.
この匂い、ここは EBF か。戻ってきてしまったな。
So you were working here. Well then, there's something I want to ask you. We're looking for something called a high-pressure oxygen treatment device. We've come as far as the examination room, but we don't have a clue what to look for. Can you help us, please?
酸素治療。ああ、ポッドだな。合金製のカプセルがあるはずだ。中にマットが敷いてある。円筒形の柱にくっついてるやつだ。見えるかい？
Yeah, they're right in front of me.
そいつがそうだ。
Hang in there. We found them, so don't waste your energy talking, okay? New blood appeared on the researcher's closed hand as he wiped his mouth.
あとはマニュアルを見てくれ。操作は簡単なはずだ。
Okay, I gotcha. The strength left the researcher's hand. Just before he collapsed, I grabbed onto his shoulder to support his body. Let's put him in the pod and Coco too.
ええ、そうね。
Skimmy and I got on either side of the researcher and supported him. We brought him over to where the 3 pods were. When I pressed the button on the side of one, it's hatched open. I put him down gently inside. When I pressed the button again, the capsule pod closed again silently. Oh, his hair is black. The kid and you laid Coco down in another pod. The hatch to the pod closed soon after. Did you find the manual?
見つけた。こっちのコントロールパネルで。
You started operating the terminal a short distance away.
高圧酸素治療。セット。
The screens on the monitors attached to the tubes flickered, and both of the pods seemed to be functioning normally.
これで大丈夫なはずよ。
Okay. The condition of the people inside the pods was monitored and appeared on the control panel. Blood pressure, heart rate, respiration rate, the expressions on their faces were even visible. I watched them for a few minutes. Coco and the researcher, whose name we didn't know. It was a slow process, but they both seemed to be gradually returning to normal.
よかった。
ええ、よかったわ。本当に。
It looks like we made it in time. We let out a collective sigh of relief. It seemed as if we had escaped the worst, for the moment. Well, we don't have time to hang around, you know? We didn't know if the situation here at IBF was any different than Lehman. There might be other survivors, or a way out, even communications. We could possibly even find information about Tief Blau. It was best to search as much as time would allow. Everyone agreed, so Tsugumi, the kid, and I went looking around IBF. You had the most medical knowledge, so she stayed in the examination room with Pippi to look after Coco and the researcher. Because we were unfamiliar with the area, the 3 of us set out together to look around. We walked all around IBF, but since there were only a few places, there wasn't much to see. Almost all of the corridors had been blocked off, and there were many doors that didn't open. When I tried forcing open one of the doors, a terrible smell started pouring out, so I hurriedly closed it again. From what I've seen during the brief moment the door was open, a few researchers covered in blood and dye clawing out their throats. Ugh. I didn't really want to think what had happened there. It wasn't hard to imagine that the situation had been the same or worse than what happened at Lehman. Another room was empty of people, and there were a few computer terminals there. Operating the terminals, we were able to scan through some of the information left there. There was some information about Tief Blau. Name, Tief Blau. Symptoms, fever, chills, headache, aching, muscles, loss of appetite, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pains, etc. As it progresses, the patient begins to hemorrhage from the mouth, gums, conjunctiva, nasal cavity, the skin, as well as the alimentary canal, and has a high probability of dying. Death rate after contracting disease, over 85%. Symptoms first appear similar to that of a common cold, and while they may temporarily improve, the patient's condition will again rapidly deteriorate, resulting in hemorrhaging. Incubation period, normally 2 to 7 days. After that point, all the data was corrupted and it was not clear what else was written. Other than that, we came across some interesting information by accident. In the corner of a business log, IBF Visitor Registry Coco Yagami. Coco's name had been listed. Looking further into the file was what seemed like a personal memo written by somebody. I get to see my daughter for the first time in a while. Her school is on vacation, so she has a 10-day break. I've been trapped for so long in this tin can doing virus research that I'm jealous. That aside, when I told her that special permission had been granted for her to come down and see IBF, she sent me a happy reply saying she would. We exchanged mail every once in a while, but wonder how long it's been since we've actually seen each other. I'll just be happy if she hasn't forgotten what I looked like. T.Y. T.Y. I thought they were probably the initials of Mr. Yagami, Coco's dad, which meant that Coco had been to IBF once before May 1st to meet her father. We didn't find any survivors in IBF. The kids, Tsugumi and I all went back to the examination room. You, how are they doing?
今のところは大丈夫だよ。
You looked tired as she sat down and faced the pod's control panel. I looked at the monitor showing vital signs. Blood pressure, heart rate, respiration rate. They all seem to have stabilized for the moment.
そうだ、クラナリ。さっきここの端末で医療用データベースを確認したんだけど。
I hesitantly asked you. Yeah, did you find something?
ティーフブラウウイルスの治療法。決定的なものはまだ発見されていないみたい。対処療法として例のオレンジアンプルの注射で症状を一時的に緩和することはできるけど、あとは確率の低い自然治癒を待つしか方法はないらしいの。
Oh, that sucks.
え？それってどういうこと？
You had trouble finding the words, so Tsugumi took over for her.
そうね。つまりココが治るにはココ自身の免疫機能が頑張るしかないってこと。私たちは彼女をポットに入れて、あとは祈るしかない。
そうだね。そういうことになる。
そんな、ココは治らないの？
The kid looked like he was about to cry. Nobody said that. Whether she gets better or not is up to Coco's will to live. The kid walked up next to the capsule pod.
ココ。
He latched firmly onto the pod, as though he would embrace it and started to cry.
あのポットがココをどれだけ助けてくれるかも未知数なの。
You murmured softly as she read the life signs on the monitor.
高圧酸素治療の他にもレーザーでの現金やら簡単な手術のできる機能も備わってるらしいし、使い方によってはハイバネーションすら可能のようだけど。
ハイバネーション？
What's that, you?
わからない。マニュアルにそうあっただけ。結局私たちには何も分かってない。今は信じて待つしかないの。
A sharp alarm sounded from the control panel monitor. Not knowing what it was, we all looked at the monitor at once. The kid ran over to where we were. An agonized expression came over the face of the researcher. He thrashed and contorted inside of the cramped capsule. Hey, mister! The researcher coughed violently and clawed at his throat. His hand and the area around his mouth were stained red. The color quickly drained from his skin. His breathing became shallow and he groaned in a low voice.
そんな、いきなり容体が変わるなんて。
Hey, mister, stop grabbing on your throat like that. You'll crush it. He slowly lowered the hands which he had been thrashing in his throat with. Hey, mister, are you alright?
Yeah. もうここまでだ。
The researcher was barely breathing. He was trying to breathe. He let out a gasp, but wasn't able to bring in air.
これも報いか。
You pored over the manual and desperately searched the control panel. But there was nothing she could do. There was no way for her to keep him alive. She pounded on the manual, then placed both elbows on the panel and covered her face with her hands. She burst into tears. Tsugumi and the kid gazed at the monitor with strained expressions. The researcher's vital signs were getting weaker.
娘を頼むと。
looked as though he were smiling, and his eyes were closed. His eyes closed, he would never move again. The life readings from the capsule pod went blank, and the electronic alarm sounded what seemed like forever. We couldn't save him. We didn't have the power to save that man, whose name we didn't even know. I reached out my hand and turned off the alarm on the panel. How is Coco?
正常。
You replied in a voice filled with tears.
今のところは問題ないよ。
Okay, thanks. We'll have to make sure he gets a proper burial. Everyone was motionless for a while. To prove how serious the situation was lay right before our eyes. He said something about daughter. Was he saying that to you? Or Coco? Or somebody else? But time rolled over forward. We didn't have any more room to play around. Dragging my legs, which seemed suddenly very heavy, I went to check all the areas in IBF once again. We had to find a way out as soon as possible. After searching again, the only thing we realized was that all of the escape pods were gone. The researchers had probably used them to get out. There was no deep water diving gear, no oxygen tanks, meaning all routes of escape had been cut off. We were quickly approaching the earliest estimated time for Leimu's implosion. It was almost May 6, 4:30 p.m. We finished marking our rounds. The kid and Tsugumi went back to the examination room where Coco was. Trading places, you left the room. Tsugumi took her place at the console, watching her vital signs. You and I talked in the corridor about what course of action we should take. Looks like we don't have any options.
そうね。で、どうするの？
What do I'm thinking about it.
ふーん。
You smiled slightly.
クラナリっていっつもそんな感じだよね。
What's that supposed to mean?
諦めが悪いっていうか。あ、ごめんごめん。変な意味じゃないよ。いつでも前向きに考えてるから、すごいなって思う。うん。本当だよ。
Really? You think so? I wouldn't say I was positive, as I probably just don't notice the really dangerous things.
またまた、そんなこと言っちゃってさ。わざとやってるんじゃないの？
You puffed up a little. Nah, not at all. I'm too dumb for that. And because I'm not so smart, I've got to think really hard about everything. But you know what? I think we're going to be okay. I mean, we got this far, didn't we? You laughed in response to my earnest reply.
そうだよね。大丈夫ってやつよね。
Sure, it's gonna be alright. A sound roared in the distance. It was probably being transmitted through the water to IBF where we were. Was it the sound of the thermal vents? I wonder if Leimu was still hanging in there. Although the situation we were in didn't look great, there were still various options available to us. Hey, you. It's about that old guy, but...
研究員さん。結局、助けられなかったね。
Yeah, but I was thinking, why was he the only one left here? Everyone else got out earlier, right? Well, besides those guys that didn't make it.
そうだね。どうしてなんだろう。わからない。わからないけど、でも、彼には逃げられない事情があったのよ。生き延びるだけの事情も。
Circumstances?
実は、彼が亡くなる前、みんなが探索に出てる間に、少しだけ話ができたの。研究員さんは苦しそうだったし、私はちょっと気が咎めたんだけど、彼、話してる方が気分が楽だからって。だから。
I see. Well, what did he talk about?
彼は、ティーフ・ブラウンにかかって、この EBF で何日も生死の狭間をさまよいながら、ずっとレミューのことを心配していたの。あの研究員さんは、EBF に来る前は、レミューのシステム開発に関わっていたらしいの。レミューの管理プログラムを作った開発スタッフのうちの一人だったって。
Meaning that
ヒンメル、レミ、そして空。彼の手になるものはレミューにあった。プログラマーにとってはレミューのシステムは自分の子供のようなものなのよ。
Meaning he was worried about his children?
きっとそうね。レミューの子供たちのことを思って彼は生き延びたのかもしれない。
Leaning against a wall, we looked as waves calmly lapped in the pool. So maybe that's what he meant by daughter.
そうだ。研究員さんから聞いて確認できたことがあるの。私が警備室の端末で見つけた時は半信半疑だったけど。
What's that?
レミのセキュリティパスを途中まで外してて、その時本当のことが分かったのよ。
So what is it already?
空の居場所。空は、私たちの知っている空はインゼルヌルにいるわけじゃないの。浮島にレミの中音演算処理装置マスタースパコンがあるのは確かだけど、レミューで起きた出来事の全てはレミュー内の記憶装置に格納されることになってるみたい。
What? I mean, can you tell me that in simpler language? So that someone even dumb like me can understand?
そうね。ライプリー製薬は赤ヶ崎空のシステムプログラムのオリジナルを保有している。だからこのレミューにいる空を失っても痛くも痒くもない。極端な話をすれば空システム自体はいくつも複製を作ることができるってこと。ここにいる空もその複製のうちの一つなのかもしれない。
More than one Sora. Multiple copies, clones, present, everywhere. That's what she meant.
だけど考えてみて。空は空でしょ。私たちの知っている空はたった一人だけでしょ。じゃあ空と別の空を区別するものは何？
Separate, differences, truth. Sora and the imposter. Ah.
わかったクラナリ。記憶だよ。私たちとここにいる空が共有しているものはたった一つ、記憶だけなんだよ。
Really? Even if Sora was everywhere, there was only one Sora Akanesake that I knew. Meaning, Sora's memory is here at Leimu. Sora? HIMMEL? So then that means Sora's mind and spirit are here in HIMMEL? I couldn't hold back. You gave me a nod when I asked this question. But if Dritstock starts flooding...
そう。もう二度と私たちの知ってる空には会えなくなるの。
I kicked a dirty old bottle that was at my feet. It landed in the pool and slowly sunk. We went back to the corridor.
クラナリ、ごめんね。前に混乱させるようなこと言っちゃって。空はインゼルヌルにいるかもね。
Don't worry about it. We know where she is now. Even if we were able to get out of Leimu safely, Sora up at Insuno wouldn't be the Sora that we knew. She would have the same thought processes and look the same, but would be a different Sora. That Sora wouldn't be the one who loved flower beds and who had made it rain. Oh, that's sad. It wouldn't be the Sora who looked at me from the other side of the glass window. The Sora who told a hopeless guy like me that she loved me. The only place she existed was here. Hey Takeshi, why was I created? What is the process of my being alive? Huh? It felt strange and stopped suddenly. I looked up.
クラナリ、どうしたの？
You followed my gaze to the ceiling. There was nothing there. She returned her gaze to me. I'm not really sure, but for some reason it's hard to breathe all of a sudden.
クラナリ、鼻血。
Oh crap.
鼻血が出てる。
Eh? I quickly put my hand to my nose. I wonder if Takeshi's getting teeth blow too. My upper lip was wet with something.
ちょっと、大丈夫？
You looked worriedly at my face. Fine, I'm fine. I looked up and wiped my nose as I replied. I wasn't thinking about anything sexual, absolutely, positively.
怪しいな。
As if, not at a time like this. My nose wouldn't stop bleeding.
あれ、本気で話みたいね。
Look, I told you, right? I really wasn't thinking about anything perverted, okay? Huh?
は？はって何？ねえ。
You start shaking my shoulder. Achoo! I let out a huge sneeze. Splat. Ew. Blood flew out not only from my nose, but also from my mouth in large amounts. It splattered all over the floor and onto the wall. Whoa. I was suddenly assaulted by dizziness. The world felt like it was spinning. For some reason, I can't keep steady. Although I didn't feel so great, it seemed funny for some reason, and I laughed. What's this?
クラナリ、しっかりして。
Quit shaking me. It's making me feel ill.
ごめん。
Hey, I'm fine. Don't worry you.
冗談よしてよ。血まみれじゃない、クラナリ。診療室に行こう。すぐ見てもらった方がいいよ。
Yeah. This isn't good. I gotta get a hold of myself. I try to calm myself down. With you supporting me, I walked down the corridor. Just then, a door flew open in front of us. It was the examination room. Out of it flew Tsugumi.
ユウ、たけし、少年の様子が。
With eyes that showed the gravity of the situation, she yelled at us.
少年が？どうしたの？
大変なのよ。いいからとにかく中へ。まさか、たけしもなの？
Crap, everybody's getting teeth blow. Tsugumi noticed the shape I was in and opened her eyes in shock.
クラナリ、も？
What are you talking about? The kid was sleeping on the MRI table. His results from the scan came up on the control panel's monitor. Teeth blow, 2017, Rev.17.
少年もティーフブラウンに感染してる。
How could that happen? Why? He's been with us the whole time. So why and where did he get TB? I mumbled to myself, finding it hard to breathe all of a sudden.
たけし、落ち着きなさいよ。ティーフブラウンの正確な感染経路は私たちには分かってないんだから。
クラナリ、あなたもスキャンを受けて。
Why?
スキャンを受けてよ。頼むから。いきなり鼻と口から血を吹くなんて普通じゃないでしょ？
Yeah, I know, but...
手伝うわ。
Tsugumi gently took the kid off the MRI examination table and forcefully put me up on it. Pressing on both of my shoulders, she forced me down the table. You don't have to do that. Fine, I'll let you check me. I brushed Tsugumi's hands off of me. See? I'm lying down now.
オッケー。ユウ、スキャンをお願い。
You started operating the control panel. The scanning light from the laser crawled slowly up my body. After a while...
スキャン完了。
What's it say? My voice cracked when I asked the question. At least say something, you!
結果は？
You stared at the panel without moving.
結果は黒。たけしももう感染してる。
Tsugumi read the monitor for me. Why? Why did I catch TB? Because we came to IBF? No, it couldn't be that. I must have had it longer than that. Since getting to Leimu? Maybe we're all infected. Damn it. I stood up from the MRI and was assaulted by a terribly dizzy spell. Whoa.
たけし危ない。
The one to stand me from falling was the kid. But from the looks of it, his legs weren't very steady either. Putting my hand on the wall, I somehow held myself up.
困ったもんだね。
You can say that again.
例のアンプルがあれば、オレンジのアンプル。
The kid pressed his hand to his face. As he wiped his mouth, I noticed a thin trail of blood there. Yeah, the serum. If they've been handling TB here at IBF, they should have some of that. If we use that, then symptoms should lessen. I went around the examination room and checked to see if I could find it anywhere. Tsugumi and you hurriedly started checking through the medicine cabinets. The kid sank to the floor. He didn't look very good. His breathing was ragged. He had lines of pain etched on his face.
ダメ、ないみたい。
こっちも見当たらないわ。
The two of them were shaking their heads. Damn, what are we gonna do? Hey Pippi, you seem like you're doing pretty well. Without me noticing, Pippi had come up and was darting around my legs. His tail was waggling frantically. He suddenly dropped a few small objects from his mouth. Hey, where'd you get?
どうしたの？
You ran over to where we were.
これって、オレンジのアンプル。
Now, where does Pippi keep finding it? She picked up one of the fallen objects in front of Pippi. It was a small capsule, a capsule with orange liquid inside of it. 4 of them have fallen on the floor. Where'd you find that, Pippi? I didn't know if he understood me, but I asked Pippi anyway. If he understand me. Pippi shook his head from side to side. Were there any more of these? He shook his head. This is all of them? He nodded. Well, we need to take these immediately. Sorry, you, but get these ready. You're the only one who knows how to give shots.
注射器はこっちで見つかったわ、ユウ。
わかった。
We gathered all the cartridges of the serum from the floor and put them on the bed. Looking slightly doubtful, you prepared the syringes one at a time and gave the kid and me our shots. Whew, we can relax for a while now.
Thank you, you.
どういたしまして。
Sitting with his back against the wall, the kid gave you a thumbs up. After that, he smiled and closed his eyes. He must have fallen asleep. What do we do about Coco?
まだ高圧酸素療法の最中よ。ポットを開けることはできないわ。治療は今のところ順調。あそこに入っている限り、症状の急激な悪化はないと思うけど。
Yeah, okay. By the way, what about you, Tsugumi? Are you okay?
スキャンはさっき一人で受けたわ。今は平気。でも、自覚症状がないだけかもしれない。
Looking slightly worried, Tsugumi said this. Oh, you, why don't you give Tsugumi a shot? You opened up another of the containers and gave Tsugumi a shot. Oh yeah, you should probably give yourself a shot too, don't you think, you?
え？いや、私は。
The next shot had already been prepared, but for some reason you was stalling. She started coughing suddenly. Hey, give yourself a shot, quickly!
そんなこと。だって。
She wouldn't stop coughing. Her arm holding onto the syringe started to shake.
深呼吸。
Her coughing finally stopped, but her hands wouldn't go still. What's wrong? You aren't feeling well? You want me to give the shot to you?
え？やだよ。注射、私、注射苦手なの。
Huh? You didn't have any problems taking anyone else?
自分でするのは嫌なんだ。
そうなの。痛いの嫌いなの。
Wow. You puffed out her cheeks stubbornly. What are you talking about? Your life's on the line here. What you'll do? Give me that syringe, you! Reaching out quickly, I latched onto Yu's arm. Tsugumi, hold her down!
了解。
Tsugumi forced Yu to sit on the bed and held her so that she couldn't move.
ちょっと。何す。痛っ。
Stop complaining. I grabbed onto Yu's arm and stuck the needle in.
こら、どこに刺してるのよ。違う、そこじゃないって。ラボにしないで。痛い痛い。もう、ゆっくりやってよ。
Well, stop squirming around so much.
角度が変。おかしいって。空気が入っちゃうじゃないのよ。
Stop complaining. You can't do it yourself.
下手くそ。
Shut up!
やめて。離して。死んじゃうよ。痛いよ。
You idiot! We're giving you this so you won't die! Tsugumi slumped her shoulders. Yu was throwing a tantrum like a spoiled child. Small droplets of red stained the bed's right sheets. After that, Yu got scanned on the MRI as suspected had come down with TB. We didn't have room to mess around anymore. In the end, you wouldn't let me do it, so she ended up giving herself the shot, complaining the whole time with tears in her eyes. I'm not sure how long our condition will hold on with just one shot. Hey you, do you think we can do anything after it stops working? She was sitting in the computer terminal, silently typing on the keyboard. You tell me what we can expect. You, tell me what we can expect.
気が散る。
Alright.
まあ、とにかくやってみるから。誰かが通信ソフトにロックをかけて、ここから外に連絡できなくしてる。でも時々、外から混戦気味に通信データが入ってくるのを見つけたから、ロックを外せれば、あるいは、まともに通信できるようになるかもしれない。何の連絡の手立てもなかったレミューよりは、まだ希望があるよ。
Alright, show me what you got, genius.
Okay.
I left you for a while and went to look at the monitor attached to the capsule pod. Tsugumi came over to stand next to me and looked at the monitor.
ココの容体は?
She's in serious but stable condition.
そう。
According to the monitor, it would be 4 hours before Coco could leave the pod. The pod was full of high-pressure oxygen. He couldn't take Coco out there until the time had come. The kid snored next to Coco's pod, frowning slightly. I couldn't say that his condition looked good. I could only pray that he would hang on a little longer. For a little while after that, my attention wandered. I don't know how much time had passed. I was not sure whether things were real or a dream. Was I alive? Was I dead? I didn't know. I slept like I was dead. Was I dead? Was I sleeping? Which was it? Where was the me that was thinking about everything?
あと少しだけ時間があったらデータを取り出せたのに。警備室の端末、最後のパスワードやっとわかったのに。そうだ、ヒンメルからならテラバイトディスクにコピーして。
That's right. Just a little more. Just have to stay alive for a little bit more. I woke from my stupor, a stale, cold feeling. I realized I'd been sleeping sprawled on the floor. I slowly raised my body. I tried opening and closing my fists. Strange. The movement left me with an uncomfortable sensation like it wasn't my own. I shook my head. I tried slapping my cheek. I breathed in the cold air and breathed out. Strange. Inside my head stayed dull and murky. I dragged myself to consciousness, forcefully reeling myself back to clarity. Putting my hands on the floor, I pulled up my heavy, aching body. My feet faltered, but somehow I managed to stand. I looked around the infirmary. I saw several used syringes scattered on the floor. The kid was still slumped against Coco's pod. He looked disturbingly bad, just completely out of it. Tsugumi was nowhere to be seen. I wonder where she had gone to. Yu was half slumped over the terminal console, snoring away. She looked like she was in some pain and was perspiring in her sleep. Her hand was pushed against the panel as if she had been in the middle of typing. On the monitor, all the repeated strands of letters were lined up without meaning. What the? I heard a strange sound. I reinserted the voice converter in my ear. There wasn't a problem with the converter.
応答してください。第3 EBF、応答してください。こちらは海上保安庁特殊救難隊。インゼルヌルより指示を行っています。
Was I actually hearing someone's voice over the speaker? I hurried over to the terminal and removed Yu's hands from it, taking over the control panel. Hello! This is the IBF infirmary. Over!
第3 EBF か。こちらインゼルヌル管制室。こちらの通信が聞こえるか？
Yeah, okay, loud and clear. I was somehow able to force out an answer. Voices spilled out from the other end of the line. Hey, there are survivors down there. I can't believe it. That's amazing. That's what I wanted to say. It seemed like you have been able to restore the communication lines.
これから大至急救難隊を向かわせる。第3 EBF のプールは使用可能か？
Yeah, should be fine.
要救助者の場所と数はわかるか？
In the examination room there are 5. No, 6.
6名だな。了解した。民間サルベージ機関の深海潜水艇にこちらの救難隊員が同乗している。到着次第 指示に従って脱出してくれ。
How long till they get here?
できるだけ急がせるが、約1時間後になる。
1 hour. Koga should be able to get out of the pod by then. I just hope we have that long.
だが、万一の際には、研究所内に残されている深海探査用の潜水艇があるはずだ。すまないが、そこに避難するように。
Something goes wrong? What do you mean?
レミューの核兵器強度はすでに限界を超えている。もしも一部分が悪化するようなことにでもなれば、どこかのエリアが崩落し、沈没する危険がある。いずれにしろ、重量のある破片が落下し、研究所上部にぶつかることが予想される。
You don't say.
もちろん、そのような事態になる前に迅速な救助が行えるよう、我々も最善を尽くす。必ず救助に向かう。もうしばらく待っていてくれ。
Communication cut out suddenly. Ah, hey, wait a sec. I hit the call button repeatedly, but there was no answer. Damn it, you can't open the communication from this side. I didn't have any other choice. I began reading through the manual on the side of the communications circuit. A mini submersible for deep sea exploration. We hadn't found it when we searched the place. Ah, here it is! Following the instructions, I used the control panel to call up information on the monitor. It's a small electric submersible. The submarine was in a separate sealed sector attached to IBF. The specification said it was a neutral buoyancy miniature submarine for saturation diving. The important thing was it could be brought over to the pool by remote control. If things get dangerous, I guess they want us to board this. I quickly went about setting up the remote control program so that we should move the submarine at a moment's notice if we had to. Alright, all we have to do now is get Tsugumi and Sora over here. Sora. How are we gonna get Sora here? It was overcome by unease. Boom! Suddenly a low metallic crash reverberated through the installation. The sound seemed to come from above. Alarm sounded from the terminal and the screen changed. Warning. Leimu hull breach. Flooding. Leimu? This is bad. This means Sora and Tsugumi! I ran out into the corridor. It was only slight, but the floor was trembling. Ugh! I suddenly became dizzy again. Losing my balance, I crashed into a wall. My recovery wasn't complete yet. I still gotta go. I had to go! I took all the strength I could muster and headed to the pool room. Tsugumi, you been in here? Thank God. Just as I headed, though, through the watertight door, I met with Tsugumi.
Takeshi. 目が覚めたの?
She looked at me strangely. Yeah, Tsugumi, there's a rescue team on the way. They said it would take about an hour. I want you to wait for them in the examination room.
救助が?
They said they were from the Maritime Defense Force. You were able to open the communication line up to Inselno.
インゼルヌルト?
Tsugumi, are you okay?
ええ。アンプルが効いてるから悪くないわ。
Okay then, I want you to get back to the examination room right away. Everyone else is in bad shape. I want you to look after them. And saying that, I headed for the lift.
ちょっとたけし、どこに行くつもり?
Up to Leimu. We've still got an hour. I'm gonna go get Sora.
待って、無茶よ。
Tsugumi chased after me and grabbed onto my arm.
どうやって? 空はレミューからここに降りられないのよ。
I know. I've got to think of a way. No, wait. I already know what I've got to do. I tore myself away from her grip and tossed her aside.
行かないで! 私を置いて行かないで! 一人にしないで!
Tsugumi called out me in a tearful voice as she lay sprawled on the floor, but I didn't turn back. As soon as the door opened, I flew into the lift. The elevator headed up.
Tiefe, 90 Meter. Tiefe, 80 Meter. Tiefe, 70 Meter.
Upwards. The elevator stopped. Forcing open the door, I slipped into the pressurization chamber. The entrance had closed automatically. I pressed on the intercom button repeatedly. Sora! Sora! Hey, it's been a while. I realized how much I missed that voice. I waved to Sora as she appeared outside the window. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I came back. Well, what's the damage? Sora explained the situation diligently.
倉庫の隔壁が欠損。愛のシャフトにも亀裂が生じています。危険な状態です。通常通路ほぼ全域にわたって15センチ以上冠水しています。
That's pretty bad. What about jet stock?
ダクトを介して上部フロアの水が流入しています。
Are you able to drain it okay?
ええ、現状はなんとかですが、浸水は時間の問題かと思われます。
Well, don't worry about it. I'll be right back.
ダメです。
Sora's eyes flashed from the other side of the glass.
チャンバーを減圧してきちんと入管手続きを取ってください。
Decompression? Are you telling me to just wait here?
はい、規則です。でなければ EBF に戻っていただきます。
How long will it take?
最速で行います。
I need to know how much time.
急いでも12時間。
12 hours? We don't have that long.
血液中に溶け込んだ窒素を排出しないと減圧症になってしまいます。
I don't care. Open that door now.
できません。
Just open it now, please.
なぜです。今ドアを開けたら急激な減圧に伴って血液中の窒素が気化し血栓を作り。
I don't care. You got that door. You get that door open now. I found an emergency escape lever inside the chamber and I pulled on it. I kicked the door. There was a horrible noise, as though all the air inside had exploded. My body was thrown from the room, along with the high-pressure gas that had been built up inside. I was tossed like a piece of confetti, sliding and rolling along the floor all the way to the control room. My body crashed heavily against the wall. Pain racked my body, and it wasn't because I had been smacked into a wall. Although I kept spewing out my breath, it felt like air kept bubbling up in my lungs. Then came a terrible exhaustion. My body felt like it was expanding. My eyes felt swollen and painful. The muscles of my limbs began to jerk and spasm. Numbness, pain, headache. It felt like I had no room to move. According to the astronomers, humans can live for a short period of time even if they are thrown out of a spaceship into space. But fish brought quickly up from the sea depths to sea level die instantly because the pressure difference causes their organs to burst. So was I an astronaut or... I felt a splitting pain deep in both ears. Repelled by eardrums, the voice comforter flew in my ears. I hurriedly held both ears with the palms of my hands and knocked them, as though trying to drain water from them. I couldn't hear what Sora was screaming. All I could do was lie on the floor, trying to suck in air, like a fish that had been pulled out of water. A few minutes passed. The earphones that I'd been wearing had broken in half. I got up weakly. I saw some extra voice converters on the edge of the console. I crammed them forcibly into my ears. Sora ran up to me with a painful expression on her face. She tried to wrap her arms around me. Even though she couldn't touch me, she was trying to help me up. Okay, I'm still alive. I stuck my hand to the console, stood up and smiled for her. I could hear Sora's voice. It seemed that my eardrums hadn't burst. She wiped away tears and her expression darkened.
すぐに EBF に戻ってください。ここは危険なんです。
And although she was crying, her face reddened with anger. I'm not going back. I came here knowing how dangerous it would be.
ダメ、戻って、お願い。本当に、なんてこと、信じられない。逃げて、お願い、戻ってください。浸水が、私が戻って、倉成さん頼みます。助けないと危険です。
Calm down, Sora. You're totally incoherent. I held up my hand as I spoke, hoping to calm her down. But I couldn't stop her anger. Her lips pursed, she glared at me slightly. Do you know why I'm here?
わかります。いえ、わかりません。たとえわかっていても、認めるわけにはいかないんです。
She seemed sad and angry at the same time.
私、矛盾してますか?
No, I think it's pretty much common sense. But in other words, I came up from IBF because Lemu's in is dangerous.
倉成さん自身危険だって分かってるのに、どうして私の言うことを聞いてくれないんですか？下に戻ってくれないんですか？
I know I should listen to you, but I can't. I knew that layman was dangerous, so I couldn't just stay there at IBF where it is safe. I wonder if that's strange. You think so?
おかしいですよ。矛盾してます。だって倉成さんがこのままじゃ死んでしまうかもしれないじゃないですか。
Her shoulders started shaking and she started to cry. I keep telling you not to rush to conclusions, Sora. I came here to get you. I know a way to help you. Well, I'm not sure about it yet, but if I've got a little time, I can get you up to IBF with me. Roll. As if I were responding to my words, the floor started to shake. Beep beep. And soon an alarm rang from the HIMMEL console. What was that sound? Sora, tell me what it was. Sora's gaze wandered and she spoke to me with a pained expression.
EBF のリフトが今の振動で破損しました。
What? Was destroyed? The elevator?
リフトは使用不能になりました。
Holding back tears, she gazed down at her feet. You don't say. Trying to keep my calm, I responded to her. I was pretending to be cool, but I was actually in trouble. This is bad. I couldn't put on an act. If we couldn't go down to IVF, our escape route was really gone. Well, that throws a bit of a wrench in our plans, but hey, that's okay, right? I laughed sheepishly and scratched the tip of my nose. There really wasn't anything to do but to laugh.
よくありません。全然よくありません。
I sprang to HIMMEL console, checking once more the damage shown there. The IBF elevator wasn't moving due to a break in the shaft. Thankfully, no one was in the elevator when the accident happened. It seemed that in the IBF case, we had escaped damage again. She let out a deep, deep sigh. Sora stopped crying. Suddenly tying her expression, she stood at attention.
こうなってしまったからには、とにかく倉成さんが助かる方法を考えてみます。それが私の務めですから。
She had an unnecessarily earnest expression. She stared directly into my eyes. Duty. Duty. I tried repeating it in my own mouth. Hey, is that really your only reason?
はい。
She nodded calmly.
必ず倉成さんを地上までお送りします。それが私に与えられた機能であり、職務なのです。だって私はレミシステムの AI、茜ヶ崎空ですから。
She threw off all emotion as she said it. This was Sora's proposed escape plan.
レミューを貫く巨大な円筒部、ハウプトプラッツ。
It's been like almost 2 hours, 140, 50, I don't know. I'll continue until I get the ending.
その中央にそびえ立つエレベーターチューブ。ここを通れば会場に脱出することができます。
I don't know. I think it's okay to make the endings for each character like 2 hours long. I think that's okay. Either way, people can just watch an hour and then watch the other hour. It's like 2 episodes in one. What are you talking about? Didn't the central elevator get sunk in the first flood?
はい。しかしチューブ自体は幸いなことに無傷で残っているのです。海水は亀裂の入った別のエリアから流入したものに過ぎません。
Really? Still, even so, that tube is 103 feet high. That huge pipe is completely full of pressurized seawater. You're not telling me to swim through that?
いえ、そうではありません。チューブの中に溜まった海水を一度排水するのです。
Drain it? How?
まず、チューブ周辺の防水扉をすべて閉鎖し、チューブ内への水の侵入を防ぎます。その処置を施した後、チューブ最下部の扉を開放し、チューブ内に溜まった水を全部ドリットシュトックに移動します。
Okay, let's say something like that were possible. How could I climb up that ridiculously high tube? There's no ladders or anything in that tube, is there?
ええ、ご指摘の通りです。ですから先ほど私は一度排水すると申し上げたのです。排水が完全に終了した後、続いて A のドアを開放します。その時には倉成さんはツバイトシュトックのエレベーターチューブ内に移動していてください。そうすれば徐々に水位は上昇しますので、水の上に浮いているだけでインゼルヌルへと到達することができます。最初水圧に押され水位は激しく上昇しますが、海面に近づくにつれその速度は緩やかになります。
Hey, Sora, can we go back to our first conversation?
ええ、どうぞ。
You said before that we could move the water to Dritstock. So you mean in other words that we would entirely flood Dritstock?
はい。
What do you mean, yes? If we flood Dritstock, the HIMMEL computer room will be flooded too.
はい。ですが、私のことならご心配には及びません。私の頭脳はインゼルヌル上にあります。ですから、レミュー内のコンピュータが全壊しても、私の存在が失われることはありません。
Oh, I see.
今の手順、もう一度説明が必要ですか？
No, I've got it. It's okay. The water rises up the elevator tube, I just zoom up and out with it, and I escape. Is that right?
そういうことです。
I understood the proposal. Understood it, but... No! If HIMMEL floods, what happens to you? Your memory, your recollections, aren't they all here? They'll all be drowned! I put on the computers lined up next to the console. She looked down and didn't answer. No, no, no way am I going to let you take this kind of suicidal act, Sora! Sizzle. Ow, ow, ow! Suddenly a searing burning pain hit my eyes. I covered my eyes frantically. What the hell was that? Fearfully, I pulled away my hands and opened my eyes.
倉成さん、もう時間がないです。どうか私の言う通りにしてください。
She said this without emotion. Furrowing her eyebrows, Sora glared at me.
RSD のレーザーの照射レベルを少しいじらせてもらいました。それで倉成さんの目をあぶったんです。
What?
本来ならばできないことですが、今の私はどうかしています。リミッターが外れてしまったみたいに。
She stared at me. It was a gaze that sent chills down my spine. Hey, come on now. Are you threatening me, Sora?
早く言う通りにしてください。倉成さん。私がちょっとレーザーの加減を間違えたら、次は本当に倉成さんの目を傷つけてしまうかもしれません。私が嘘をついてると思いますか？私は真剣です。
And thus Sora's plan became reality.
倉成さんはツバイトシュトックの所定の位置に移動して待機してください。チューブに入るタイミングも私が指示します。その時が来るまで、私はこのヒンメルにとどまり、レミューの状態を監視します。排水ダクトをコントロールして崩落を食い止め、1分1秒でも長く全艦が維持できるように努めておきます。で、お願いです、倉成さん。必ず生きて脱出すると約束してください。
I promise. I left HIMMEL and looked upstairs. I checked my PDA display. It showed me a map of Lemu and my escape route. Just a little bit ago, I had installed a data linking program from HIMMEL's console that linked my PDA to Lemu's center. Sora had prepared it for me. At this point, I had just to do it. I had to just do it. It was a gamble. I reached Dritstock's second floor. The hallway was flooded just like the third floor. Sora, I've come to the second floor. What should I do?
了解です、倉成さん。現在地と方向を確認しました。
I couldn't see her, but I could hear her voice in my ear.
少しその場で待機しててください。今、ハウプトプラッツに続く水密費を閉じ直します。
Okay. A hollow sound echoed through the building. Presumably, she had blocked off the flood hatches in the flooded area.
水密費閉鎖完了。スバイトのエレベーターチューブは密閉されました。では、カルセル・デルフィーネの部屋に入って、次の指示を待ってください。場所はわかりますか？
Yeah, I know the dolphin carousel really well. That's where you and I rode dolphins together. That's where he showed me the art of my other self.
急いでください、倉成さん。その通路をまっすぐ行って、突き当たりを左です。わからなければ PDA のマップを確認してください。
No, I'll be alright. To find Sora's directions, I turned left down on the nearby corner and headed toward a certain corridor.
何やってるんですか？そっちじゃありません。
Sorry, Sora. I remember that I've forgotten something.
時間がないんです。指示通りにお願いします。
Sora's voice grew shrill. It will only take a minute. It won't make a difference.
ダメです。猶予はあと10分もないんです。
I can do this in 10 minutes. I slid into the security office. Whew. It hadn't flooded yet in there, and the machines were still going. I looked at the terminal monitor. The window that was open showed a message confirming the last entered password. I hit enter. Luke Commander Leme Login TY. The manager exclusive maintenance mode was in operation. In other words, we had cleared all of Leme's security. The terminal and security office. I finally figured out the password. Yu's voice, which I had heard through my stupor, had been right. Yu had made it in the nick of time. Next time I see her, I'm buying her a fantastic dinner. Alone, I began quickly searching for a way to back up the data. I wondered what should I do. I opened a menu on the monitor. I didn't know how to work it. And I would need a disk to copy the data.
倉成さん！
Whoa! All of a sudden, Sora's voice thundered right in my ear.
何してるんですか？急いで！
I know!
あと7分。
Damn! It was no good. I couldn't figure it out. Giving up, I left the room. The corridor outside the room had been drained, and the flood hatches had been closed again.
お願いです。寄り道しないでください。
She spoke in a troubled, exhausted voice. All right. I turned around to see that the corridor on the other side was open. This way?
ええ、あと6分です。通路に沿って移動して、待機位置についてください。
All the side routes were closed off. I had to head toward the dolphin carousel. Look, Sora, I'm here! I spoke with bitterness in my voice.
了解。確認しました。これからハープとプラッツに溜まった水をドリッドへと流入させます。
No, I didn't make it in time.
チューブ作動まであと5分です。いつでも移動できるようにしておいてください。
Sora spoke coldly, still invisible. I was in front of the dolphins. The dolphin had been so pleasant and smiling before, now they were hateful. Sora, won't you come over here? You like dolphins, right?
ダメです。私集中してないと失敗してしまうかもしれません。
Don't say that. Come on. Don't you want to ride the dolphins again together? One last time?
話しかけないでください。気が散りますから。ドリッドシュトック浸水後もヒンメルはしばらく耐えられるはずです。倉成さんが地上に脱出するまでは確実に、いえ、絶対に耐えてみせます。そろそろお別れですね。
So this was it. Was there no way I could save Sora? The 5 minutes passed quickly, mercilessly. I closed my eyes. I plugged my ears. I didn't want to see anything else. I didn't want to hear anything else. If I couldn't save her, it would have been better for us to throw our bodies from a cliff.
倉成さん。申し訳ありません。倉成さん。
What? Even with my eyes closed, she was definitely there. I was hearing her voice from inside my ears. What's the matter, Sora? The 5 minutes should be up.
それが、実は。
Felt the voice converter. I could hear Sora's troubled voice.
ドアが開きません。
What?
ハウプトの水密費が開放信号を受け付けないんです。断線です。
Disconnected?
ええ。ですが、破損箇所は発見できています。大変恐れ入りますが、倉成さん、断線箇所を修繕していただけませんか？
Of course, no problem. Heaven, fate, they were on my side. They had not abandoned me. I ran out of the room. Sora opened the doors blocking my way. Where's the disconnection?
ドリッドシュトック制御室付近です。
Alright, I'll go right there. Down, down. Right, run. In reality, my body was probably racked with deep compression sickness and riddled with TB. But it wasn't something I was aware of. More importantly, I had to move faster. Hurry there! Falling again and again, covered in bruises, slipping down the stairs, I headed for the 3rd floor. I'm here, Sora.
お疲れ様です。
Her voice resonated gently in my ear. Now then, where's the place? Hey, wait, what about tools? Can I fix it with just my hands?
簡単な修理器具が制御室の中にあります。要修理箇所は倉成さんのいる通路の床下です。
Under the floor?
ともかく急ぎましょう。これから私が該当箇所に高電圧をかけて床パネルを爆砕します。倉成さんは一時制御室の中に退避してください。
What?
5、4、3、
Hey, wait!
2、1。
Boom. I wrenched open the control room and sprang inside in the nick of time. As I flew through the air, a blue-bright light beamed through the entire corridor behind me. 1 second later, I would have been fried. Sora! What the hell? You trying to kill me?
ごめんなさい。
From the sound of her voice, I could picture just how flustered she was.
ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。すみません、すみません、すみません。申し訳ありません。ちょっと気が流行ってしまいました。
Her voice gradually grew smaller. Okay, you don't have to feel so bad. I'm fine. You're just scared the crap out of me, that's all. I'm alright, I'm fine. Look, see, I'm alive and everything.
はい。
You can't kill me off that easy. I've still got things to do.
はい。
So you calm down, okay, Sora?
ええ、わかりました。
I had to hurry, that much was clear. Calmly, rationally, carefully, I looked slowly around the room. Next to the console, there was a small toolbox. It held radio, pincers, nippers, and a screwdriver. I wondered if it would be enough. I looked around a little more. I caught sight of a polycarbonate disc in a square case. I put it in my empty pocket. Clutching the toolbox, I left the room. Sora, there's something wrong with the lights.
そのようですね。
It seems... What are you? Hey, damn! I'm back in the hall, but you aren't going to blast me again, are you? Suddenly remembering, I hopped around the corridor.
大丈夫です。その通路付近の床下配線の送電はブロックしました。天井の照明が不安定なのは多分その副作用です。
Got it. I was relieved to hear that. So where do I need to fix?
近くに床板が外れている場所があるはずです。爆砕には成功しました。
Which way? Which way from my perspective?
すみません。それが
Sora, what's wrong?
生体センサーが故障しました。倉成さんの位置がわかりません。
Because you do crazy stuff like short out high voltage.
申し訳ないです。
I heard her sigh. I sighed along with her.
場所は制御室の入り口から見て左17メートルほど行ったあたりです。
Alright, I'll find it myself, don't worry. I had room for one more sigh. Surely I could find one more stupid lousy floorboard. I took the toolbox to a hole in the floor and crouched down. Pushing aside the nearby water, I searched with my hand under the floor for wiring. A cable about the size of a water pipe hose was attached to the connector. The cable was twisted in places and I could tell the connector was bent. I cut it with my nippers, dug out the copper wire with my pliers, replaced the connector, and reattached the cable. I think I fixed it. What do you think, Sora? Will it go through?
はい、おそらく。
That's good.
倉成さん、それでは脱出のための作業を再開します。スバイトシュトックに戻ってください。
Okay, right away.
はい。脱出の成功とご無事をお祈りします。倉成さん？どこにいるんですか？倉成さん？生体反応がモニターできません。ドリッドシュトックの通路からどこに移動したんですか？非常階段に登った形跡が発見できないんです。現在位置を教えてください。倉成さん。
I'm right here, Sora.
なんでここに？
Oh, he went back. She looked thunderstruck. Sora, you really need to learn more about hide and seek. I try to say it lightly. When we play Kick the Can, you hid in the place where you get found right away.
何を言ってるんですか？
Even if you can't monitor me with the buyer scan, you could just listen to the sounds. That is, if you wanted to find out where I was, right? Well, you made it easy for me to come back here without being discovered. I didn't know what I'll do if you wouldn't let me in the room.
ふざけないでください！
She yelled.
あの方法での脱出のチャンスは1回しかないんです。 レミューの耐久力だって。
We're way past its limits.
ええ、そうです。ですから。
Do you really think I could leave you here? Do you know why I came back here from IBF?
でも。
Hesitating, she turned her gaze away from me.
お願いです。ツバイトに戻ってください。
No. Open all the floodgates in Dritstock's passageway.
できません。早くツバイトに戻ってください、クラナリさん。
Just hurry up and open them!
できません。水密碑を開けたら、ドリットシュトックは完全浸水します。ヒンメルの外は、すべて海水に満たされるんです。そうしたらクラナリさんは、もう二度と。
If you won't open them, I'll open them by hand. I grab Himmel's console.
無駄です。そこからのコントロールはできません。
That's a lie. You're lying. Right now, Leimei is in System Administrator, only maintenance mode. From the big terminal, you can control all of Leimu. Sora Akanegasaki can't override the sysadmin's authority. I wasn't sure, but I said it anyway. This was a huge risk. I touched the panel and hit the keys. I didn't know how to operate it, but something came up that looked about right.
クラナリさん、いい加減にしてください。
She glared at me.
早くしないと、ハウプトプラッツが壊れてしまいます。脱出を。
I selected the command to open all the flood hatches in the corridor and hit enter.
やめて！動かないで！クラナリさん、それ以上操作したら、今度こそレーザーで、あなたの網膜を焼き切ります。
I covered both of my eyes with the palm of one hand. I couldn't see Sora. I immediately pressed the key with my other hand. Clack. Hiss. Ow! Ouch! That's hot! The smell of burned hair from the hand I had used to shield my eye filled the air. I blew in my hand, trying futilely to cool it down. You scared the heck out of me. Don't do this, Sora!
クラナリさんこそ、本当にやってしまわれたのですね。
The floor started shaking. I couldn't stay on my feet with the violent shaking. I wobbled as I moved, but ran swiftly to the entrance of Himmel. I tried to close the heavy door with full force of my weight. Damn, but my hands wouldn't move like I wanted. Gah! I suddenly felt terribly dizzy, burning sensation in my chest, and collapsed to the floor. My hand slipped. I couldn't stand up. In this crucial moment, my condition could have been worse.
クラナリさん、しっかりして。
I'm okay. But I wasn't. Terrible fatigue and sluggishness struck me. A flow of dirty water had swallowed the path to Himmel and was on the verge of reaching the ceiling. No, I've got to get the door closed. I put my hand, but my hand couldn't reach the lever. My hand was fading and body was shaking. My sight was fading.
ダメ。もう私たち助からない。
Steam water had become a giant snake. Raging as it approached. Ha! Come on, you bastard water! Bring it! I screamed back over my shoulder. Trying to cover Sora, I put my back against the open door to Himmel. I was determined to block the entrance. I was going to fight it off. I wasn't going to run away. I would save her, no matter what! Just then, I heard a terrifying roar behind me. The watertight door had been sealed shut by compressed air from the water pressure. Seawater pounded against the door again and again, like a stampeded herd of wild animals. But the sound was coming from far away.
クラナリさん。クラナリさん。
Okay, I can hear you. I had a ringing in my ears. How long will it hold?
わかりません。クラナリさんの後ろの扉は施錠。密閉しました。
Thanks.
レミュー倒壊を遅らせるために、ドリットシュトックの全水密碑を開放。ドリットシュトック全域は完全に浸水。水没しました。
I see. Thanks. On the other side of the door was 6 atmospheres of pressure. The walls on all 4 sides of the room I was in had already surpassed their limits. But luckily, there was still power somehow. Emergency powers must have kicked in. The lights went slightly dim.
クラナリさん、
Sora bit on the lip.
そんな、お礼なんて言わないでください。私は。
Something gleamed in the dark. Her silhouette. Sora was staring at me. Her tears fell quietly. She sparkled and disappeared.
ねえ、私は、どうすればいいの？教えてください。
I reached out to catch the tears. The grain of the light winked and disappeared in an instant. The light disappeared as it reached my hands. Don't worry. You are doing fine. Don't do anything, Sora. I wouldn't erase it. I couldn't afford to lose her. I opened my eyes as wide as I could and tried to burn her image into my mind. Listen. The main thing is that you are safe. My eyelids were becoming heavier. Before I could even ask her if she could forgive me, I collapsed, pitching forward onto the floor. I fell into a deep sleep. A soft warmness surrounded me. Light. I felt that I had overcome an immense distance, the end of darkness. A soft white light surrounded me. There was nothing else for me to look at it. There was nothing below me, nothing there to support me. But for some reason I was at peace. I was floating steadfast. I was swaying freely in the center. In the center of gently drifting water, I could hear something faintly. First sound I had heard in my life. Yes, it was the sound of a heart beating. I remembered. I was surrounded by the gentle sound of a beating heart. There was no greater feeling of peace than what I felt then. How long would I be able to stay there? I didn't know. I knew that I would have to leave the place at some point. I would have to let go of that fragile bond soon. But I wasn't sad. If that time must come, darkness cleared again out and it would come. A new world where I would resolve to be reborn. I woke with the warmth of light. I was sleeping on a cold floor. Sora was floating right in front of me. It was like a dream, but it was not a dream. It felt strange. May 7th. Now I'm thinking, I don't know how long May 7th is gonna be. So I'm gonna stop recording and see how long it is. If it's longer than an hour, then yeah, I'll make it a separate episode. Morning. Good morning. It's such a fantastic word, isn't it? It makes me feel like I need to get up and get to work.
そうですね。
Sora smiled softly. What time is it?
わかりません。どうやらタイマーが故障してしまったようです。
Oh. I took my PDA from my pocket and pressed a button to turn it on. The battery was dead. Nothing showed up on the screen.
現在時刻を知る手立てがなくなってしまいましたね。
Yeah.
私とレミ各端末とのリンクもつい先ほど遮断されてしまいました。レミュー本体の各種センサーも使用不能。しかし事前の計算によると予想される外角の耐久時間は
Stop! I put my hand in front of Sora's mouth, and then slowly let my hand fall. Time doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to know. There's no need to worry about it anymore.
そうですよね。
It may have been difficult for someone as conscientious as Sora to stop thinking. Still, Sora smiled for me. She looked around and then spoke as if she had just remembered something.
そうだ。倉成さんが眠っている間にいい知らせが届きました。
Good news?
eBayF で通信が行われているのが分かったので、レミューの外壁を伝う微弱な電波から内容を解析してみたのですが、それによると eBayF にいた皆さんは救助を受け、潜水艇に乗り、無事にインゼルヌルへと脱出できたようです。
Wow, that's great news. I realized just how much I was worried about them. I looked up at the ceiling. They were all there. You, Tsugumi, Coco, the kid. I couldn't see them, of course, but I knew somehow. As if she understood what I was thinking, Sora looked up at the ceiling, her face smiling compassionately. I looked back. She looked at me, straight into my eyes. Deep within her pupils was a faint light shining.
倉成さん、どうしてここに戻ってきたんですか？
Sora murmured quietly in the darkness. The only light to illuminate us was coming from the emergency lights. Her tone was peaceful.
本当の理由を今一度聞かせてください。
A calm smile spread on her lips. Sora was holding back tears that threatened to burst forth at any moment. Right, I'll tell you. I have someone that I want to protect, even if it costs me my life. She isn't something tangible. Other people may think I'm stupid, but to me, she was the most valuable thing in the world. I may not be able to see her with my eyes closed. I may not be able to hear her if I plug my ears, but that doesn't mean she will disappear. I know that she still exists, and I realize just how important she is to me.
はい。
She nodded quietly. Well now, Using my hands to support me, I got up. I forgot I had some unfinished business. I went over to the HIMMEL console.
用事？何ですか？
She smiled softly and said, Is Lamie still in maintenance mode?
はい。ですけど、レミューに関する機能はもう何も使えなくなってしまいました。
Well, it doesn't matter. Which pocket was it? Well, I finally found out what I was looking for and dug it out of my pocket. It was the case holding the polycarbonate disc that I had taken from the control room earlier.
これはテラバイトディスク？
That's right. I now inserted the terabyte disk into the console disk drive. I hit the necessary keys. With the little knowledge I had, I needed to find the file. LMRSDS 5913A Sora Akinisaki. Oh, that's how he's gonna do it. I chose copy the disk from the menu. There was no guarantee that this would be successful, but I was going to try. I felt I had probably exhausted my allotment of luck in my life, but it was worth a shot. If something malfunctioned or there wasn't enough space on the disk, we were finished. I thought it was probably the last gamble in my lifetime. Keep it simple. I hit the enter key and the data began copying. Sora, remember to shout, keep it simple when you hit a button.
はい、先生。
Sora smiled shyly. We stared at the console monitor. The copy slowly progressed. All of her memories were being burned onto the disk.
倉成先生、宿題のことなんですけど。
Sora murmured as she looked at the monitor. Homework? Did I give you homework?
いえ、生徒が自主的にやってみたんです。聞いてくれますか？
Yes, of course. Right away. I'm tired, I'm sorry.
私ね、気づいたんです。私が何のために生まれてきたのか。私はきっと人間と同じように恋をするために生まれてきたんだと思います。だから私は幸せなんです。恋という感情に気づくことができたから。そして恋は方法や手段なんて稚拙でいい。意味や目的なんて求めなくていい。恋をするにはただまっすぐに恋すればいいんです。私はそう気づいたから。
Really? Sora brought her face close to mine, and she brought her lips near my cheek.
倉成さん、大好き。あなたを好きになれて本当によかった。
I touched my cheek where she kissed. I felt a gentle warmth there. Was it the afterglow of her lips? Or was my cheek simply blushing?
あなたが憎いと思ったことも確かにあります。嫌だと思ったこともあります。でもそれも含めて全部好きなんです。どんな感情だろうとあなたのことを思って考えていれば、それだけで私はとても幸せなんです。
She was strong. Her mind and heart had grown so much stronger in the past few days, matched the maturity of her age, or more likely, transcending it. Sora, if this continued to copy, her memory being etched to its surface, it was being etched into me too. What do you mean? What do you want to do when you get out of here?
え？
It was an empty wish. We knew it was impossible, but it didn't feel strange to me to be talking about it with Sora. Sora, who really existed right in front of me.
私はここから脱出することができたら、そうですね。まず、ビートルに似たおばちゃんに会いに行こうと思います。
She winked and smiled.
そして、できれば、倉成さんとお付き合いがしたいです。倉成さんと2、3年付き合って、26、7で結婚するんです。それがコケットリーな白ガネーゼの鉄則ですから。ですよね。
Sora became a little blurry. Yeah, that's right. My eyes misted over. I was having difficulty seeing clearly. Was it an RSD malfunction? Or perhaps I was short of oxygen? No, that wasn't it. No. Sora. Do you know the legend of Pygmalion? I was crying. The tears were falling down my face. Sora's figure wavered. He was the master sculptor in Greek myths. He's been called the King of Cyprus. One day, he created a beautiful sculpture of the woman of his dreams. And because it was so beautiful, he fell in love with the statue. He kept on thinking to himself, if only it were a real woman. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, took pity on him and brought this sculpture to life. They married and even had children.
Hi.
I don't think I'll ever be the King of Cyprus, but I love you more than anyone. I reached out for her. I brought her face to mine and kissed her on her lips. I ran my fingers through her hair. Her hair fell through my fingers as if it were a stream of silk. I could even sense a sweet smell. Even though I couldn't touch her, it was real. The console spit the terabyte disk out. Copy complete. There was no guarantee that the procedure had been a success. All the data about Sora in front of me, all the images Sora had seen, the sounds she had heard, things she had felt and thought, every strand of her memory was written on that disk. Memory. What was memory? I wondered. What if I import the contents of this terabyte disk onto the Sora at Inifnity? Would that make her just like the Sora I knew?
Kuranari-san.
Hey, what can I do for you? Every time I played the fool, it never failed to make her laugh. We were holding back tears, which threatened to spill down our faces.
今、コピーの間に、倉成さんと話したことは、どこにも記憶されませんね。それはちょっぴり残念です。
Nah, the memory's right here. I pointed to my head. I will remember. And the next time about me, I'll tell you about it.
そうですか？では、約束しましょう。
Alright, it's a promise. We crossed our hearts. Promise. When would that promise be fulfilled? I didn't know. But I didn't have to know. The mind is not as simple as black or white. Soon, HIMMEL began to shake. Large cracks ran down the walls. Through the holes, a large amount of mist spread into the room. Heaven had finally cracked open. The mist quickly began raging streams, and soon water was filling the room. I squeezed the terabyte disk into my pocket and stood in front of Sora. The water had gone higher than my ankles, past my knees. It was almost reaching my waist. But for some reason, I didn't feel any fear. It's a promise. It's going to be okay, Sora. I won't die. It was just like the time we stood facing each other through the glass window. Sora and I put our hands together. If miracles truly do exist, then that was surely a miracle. I could sense everything about Sora.
Kuranari-san, arigatou.
I couldn't help it and embrace Sora. The warmth of her hands, the softness of her skin, her smell, her breath, her heartbeat, her memory, her existence. I swore I wouldn't forget. I swore I would never, in all eternity, forget. All around us was a world of deep, deep blue. We embraced in the cold seawater and became one. Our body began to float gently to the place where the heavens and the ocean fused into one. Wow, that was Sora's ending. Wow, that was sad. So in the end, I guess she dies. So the end he just dies, huh? Wow. Is it gonna show us the life readings more? Still don't get that. And the credits. I say that was okay. That ending was intense though, and sad. Anyway, I'm gonna do Tsugumi's route next, and then Sarah's, and then finally Coco's. Man, I'm so excited, because, you know, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be awesome. I don't know what to talk about. The fact that that was sad. Yes, that was pretty sad. I can't skip this. That's so sad. That Takeshi just dies and drowns with Sora. I wonder if the disc, you know, just floats out of Lemu into the surface, and then somebody retrieves it. Takeshi promised, so maybe. Oh yeah, I see Coco. Yeah, I see her. That was funny. I don't know what to talk about. All I can say is that that was nice. Yeah, it was okay, Rue. I like Sora as a character. It was pretty cool. She was pretty cool. Yeah, I just don't know what to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if Sora has an epilogue, just like you. Yeah, I'll get Tsugumi's good end, and then finally I'll just get the bad end. This story's not an end yet, because only you are in the Infinity Loop. Yeah, save data. Well, I guess she doesn't have an epilogue. Oh well. May 3rd, Takeshi's Perspective. 4th, Sora. That's sad. Anyway, that's it.